The Opinionated Idiot.
What's going on, my idiots? It is April 4, it's 420 today. So if you partake, please spark up your 420 or whatever the hell you guys call that stuff. I don't partake, but happy 420 to everybody out there. Welcome back to another edition of the Opinionated Idiot live show. I want to welcome in everybody here this evening. It's great. The chat is buzzing. I see a lot of people coming in, and we have an action-packed show this evening. We are continuing with part 4 of our Looking Back Idaho 4 series. There's going to be a couple more parts to this, and then we'll do at the end of this like a kind of a wrap-up show. And then I'm going to do probably something for members only, like I did before, and just have an exclusive chat with my members as well. So look forward to that. I'll be posting that. And, we'll get kind of a private wrap up and see how you all feel so far. But what we've been doing in these series, if you haven't seen them already, this is the 4th part to this series. You can go back to the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd part. And we've been going back and looking back because no one has done that in this case. I think I have to say, I think I'm the only channel that has done this so far. We've been going back and looking at the timeline, media interviews, family interviews. And tonight we're actually going to get into what the media was reporting along up until Bryan Kohberger was arrested for being the alleged suspect in the Idaho 4 murders. So how I want to start this off this evening is I'm going to recognize everybody in the chat first. And then I have a quick statement that I want to read. And then I have some cell phone data information that I would like to share with the group this evening as well. A very interesting email was written to me by someone that is in the Moscow Pullman area. And I thought this was something that I wanted to read to the chat tonight. I was sharing it in the private chat. And if you haven't got into our private chat, the only way to get in there to the Discord server, if you would like exclusive access to what we talk about behind the scenes, you can go down there and click the join button there. Memberships start at $1.99 a month, and it will give you access to our private Discord server. And we talk a lot in there, and a lot of my members are in that chat, and they'll let you know. We have a lot of interesting conversations in there. So if you want to get in on that, you can join our memberships, then go over to the community board. I drop the link for members only for the Discord server. You can get in there and hang out with us. So let's do this. Let's acknowledge the chat tonight. Let's go back up and see who is here. Diane's here. She said, "Hello, Bryan. I'm looking forward to your live tonight, even though I'm in a lot of back pain." Ouch. And look at, we are so close to 3,400 subscribers. So hopefully tonight, halfway through the show or by the end of the show, we will hit 3,400 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and you like content like this on this channel, make sure to go down there, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you get all notifications. When I go live 3 nights a week, and you can see that down below, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I don't only just do Idaho content here. We have some theme nights that we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I've made the commitment to bunk that for at least the next week or two because we're going to get through this Idaho series. Shani's here as well. Karen T is well. Amber is always here. It's always good to see Amber. Bolvari is here. New name. I haven't seen that in the chat. Dr. Bob is here as always. Susan's here. Susie, I'm sorry. Susie here is here. Susan A is here. Who else do we have? We have George is always here. Says, I really dig the music. Good to see you, George. Thank you for coming in. Mandy is always here. I'm always talking to her behind the scenes as well. Let's see who else we have. Dina is here too. She's telling everybody happy 420. Yep. If you celebrate, then happy 420. Karen T says, speaking of Brian's dating life, I leave for 1 minute in damn. The super fan, Christine Brown is here. And she says, hey, all. Chosen Rosen's here as well. 2014. Every time I read that, I think of like the Terminator for some reason, but he is here as well. Good to see you. Forward Love is here. Says, hey, yo. Hey, yo. Is that like kind of like is that a Sylvester Stallone, Rocky? Hey, yo. Probably something like that. I gotta, look at this. YouTube user 336. Looking forward to hearing this email. I am too. I'm very excited to share this. Tsunami is here. Says, hello, fellow chicken heads, snake gods. I love it. He's in the private chat as well. We have some fun over there. Naseba is here. Says, hello, everyone. And Aria has joined the live stream. Aria watches us, I think, from overseas, like in London, and the time difference over there is crazy. I think it's like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning over there. So thank you for joining in on the live stream. Laura is here. Laura and I talk a lot behind the scenes. It's really good to see her as well. Let's see. Kathy's here as well. Hello. Misty is here. I think I'm seeing a lot of new names here. It's nice to see the new names trickle in. And thanks for subscribing, coming over and checking the live streams, because I am a live streamer. I do this 3 nights a week. And I'm actually thinking about adding a 4th night pretty soon here. All right. I think he says, oh my God, I love Rocky. Adrian. I mean, how can you not love Rocky? I mean, it's such a great series of movies, but I think I got everybody so far. So what I want to first do is this. I need to address something. And I always start out with a statement if I have to address something. So my cat, AZ's here. Good to see AZ. AZ, we chat a lot too. Ausane is here. That's a new name. I haven't seen that here. I got a quick question from... it's 1:30 a.m. Nice. This channel's about to blow up. I call it. I hope so. We're working hard. That it takes it takes a leader to do it, but it takes a team to put it all together and make it happen. And you guys are my team. I always say that. You guys are my idiots. I always say that. And the only way that this channel is going to blow up is if you come to the lives, you interact on the lives, and you watch those videos and interact on the videos. Maisie Star is here. I love that name and I love that band. Great. Awesome 90s band. Mama Mate's just Mountain Mama's just trickling in as well. I wanted to go back to this. So Susan A is saying, hey, I've been here for a live. I had to ask you, is your mascot cat? Because I love it. So my cat, and I think Susie's saying this because she's been back from the beginning. My cat presently lives with my mom. I actually was just over there today. And I spent some time over there, and probably eventually at some point he will come back. It's just I've been super busy at work and not having enough time here at home, and I don't really like to leave him by himself. But thank you for asking. So let me get this, because we're going to go a long time tonight. This might be a 3-hour banger tonight. I'm going to tell you, I have a lot of stuff lined up. But I want to start out with this, okay? And I want to address someone. And actually, I'm probably going to read this. Let's read it. I think I'm going to read this. I want to address a comment that was left. So Deborah G, it's fine. I'll just say the name. Left a comment. I'd be more apt to donate if you stop making your shows about you and let us be able to listen about Kohberger. Take up your personal issues offline. Seriously, most of us don't care. Likewise, most won't tell you. Okay, well, we've gotten that out of the way. Here's my response. It's my response. I'll get to that super chat in a second. Let me just get to this real quick. And I appreciate your super chat. I'm going to pull that up so it stays there. This is for you, Deborah. When a YouTuber shares a personal story, they're often trying, in kind of, I think you get my vibe here. When a YouTuber shares a personal story, they're often trying to connect with their audience on a deeper level by sharing their own experience, struggles, and triumphs. By doing so, they can help their viewers feel more connected to them and inspire them to overcome their own challenges, just like all of you. Personal stories can also be a way for YouTubers to establish credibility and authenticity. By sharing their own experiences, they can demonstrate their expertise and show that they are real life, that they are real people who have faced similar challenges to their viewers. Viewers come to this YouTube channel because they enjoy the content, have an interaction in a particular subject, or to connect with a certain creator. I can sit here and just press play on a video. I cannot give any type of criticism, or commentary, or any guidance, but I don't think that it would hold their attention for very long. People come here to share their experiences, opinions, and hear more about what I have to say on a particular subject matter, as well as their feedback. Ultimately, when a YouTuber shares a personal story, they are opening themselves up to an audience and inviting them to be part of their journey. It can be a very powerful way to connect with their viewers and build a sense of community around their channel. Now, I can sit here all day and not be human and be a robot and not have feelings. And we cried together the other night when we saw Steve Gonzalez talking about his daughter, the way that Kaylee, how angry he got about the investigators not, in his opinion, not doing enough, and listening to his story, the grief that they were going through. We cried through all of that. We had feelings. It was deep. I'm a person that has a lot of feelings. I'm a very demonstrative person. I'm going to be very outspoken. I'm going to have opinions. I shoot from the hip. I don't bullshit people. And I don't expect bullshit back. Just be straight up with me, and I'm going to be straight up with you. That's what we do here on the Opinionated Idiot channel. We connect with our audience. We connect with our community. And we connect in these live streams. And we're going to grow this channel to be huge. And I love the way that it's growing. I'm glad that I haven't had a crazy viral video, because those people that come in one time and watch that video don't give a damn about you. But this community cares, because they are here every single night I go live. And I know the screen names. I know the faces. I have the interactions in the emails, in the conversations with these people. They're becoming my friends. But it's okay. I love the slow grind, and I love the gradual way up, because as people come in and they watch further and they're here for longer live streams, they will understand this community. They will support this community. They will go along for the ride. They will be here forever until YouTube shuts down or this channel shuts down. But we got a long way to go, and we're going to keep building this community. So that is my response. Let's acknowledge this super chat here. I got to go back up. So 3434 J says, I know our review of facts is less glam than breaking news. However, justice is only won through hard work, and I'm learning through patience. Patience is definitely not my strength. Patience is definitely not my strength, but I'm learning patience just like you through this process. And like I've always said, Bryan Kohberger right now is just the alleged suspect in this case. He is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law by a jury of his peers. Thank you so much for that super chat. I do appreciate it. I will advocate for my channel. I will say smash that like button. I will do those things because YouTube does not like to push smaller channels. This is why I interact with the audience. So if you don't get it, then maybe this is not the channel for you. And that's all I got to say about that. We're done with that. We're done with that. Okay. Thank you so much for the super chat. I do appreciate it. And we know we have to give the tone.
Great cash, homie. I got you, homie.
All right.
I got you, homie.
Oh, I'm on loop.
I got you, homie.
I looped it.
I got you, homie.
I gotta get with it.
got
I gotta
you,
get
homie.
with it. It was like a 4 smash. It was like a 4 banger right there. Okay, let's pull up this email that I got on. Yeah, I gotta do a bing bong. Let's do a bing bong real quick. That was my bing bong. Bing bong. Smoke your bong if you got your bong.
Bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
All right, let's pull up this and then we're going to get into the meat, the bones, potatoes of the show. We'll get the meat and the bone, the potatoes of the show. All right, let me bring this up here, get this ready, and I'm going to share this with you all. Okay, so this is about cell phone tower pings, and I was having some discussion with my Discord group, about this, and it was very interesting, and I don't see much bullshit in it, and I actually connected a little bit to me, but let's do this. Let's pull it up. I'm going to read through it. I actually put it on a spreadsheet so we could read through it here. Let me just get this. Okay. So let me magnify this because I have not real glasses here. They're fake, but I do actually really need glasses. So let me make this bold. I'm going to try to, how the hell do I make this larger? What tab do I need to find? I think it's this one. Yeah, let's bring this up. Oh, no, go up. What'd I do? Zoom up. Let's go up to like 125. Let's go to 120. Let's go to 420, dude. No, I want it bigger than that. Maybe 200. All right, so here we go. I want to read through this and let's see what we can make of this. So it says, what's this? Okay. I had a specialist come in by the firm and taught us so much about pings. I will break it down so it's not so technical. First off, let's start with the ping that a lot of people say doesn't work. The PCA states that the phone pinged in Moscow, but BK was not in Moscow at the time. I'm going to actually read it up here because it's a little bit easier for me. Let me see if I can bring this down. Okay. I'm going to read it here. I'm just going to read. You guys can chat. I'm not going to see the chats, but the prosecution and the FBI put in the PCA to prove how good pings work. Let's start with the phone utilizing the tower that services King Road. There are 2 AT&T towers and 4 Verizon towers in Moscow. There are not all the towers, but one we will use in this case. In 2017, Verizon and AT&T joined to allow each of us, each other's company. I'm lost here. Hang on. Let me just address this. Okay. Hang on one second. In 2017, Verizon and AT&T joined to allow each other's company to use each other's towers. The Verizon tower is less than a mile from King Road. Most of the time, I'm going to get this at some point. Most of the time, almost 999 out of 1,000, to give an example, always connects to the nearest tower. This is how law enforcement could track the cell tower handoffs as BK drove from Pullman to Moscow. The phone pings at the towers he passes through. Hang on one second, guys. I'm getting distracted. There's a chat going off. I'm getting a little distracted. The phone pings at the towers as he passes through the area one by one all the way to Moscow. Since 4G started a few years ago, towers changed drastically in range of 1 mile at max 4, especially when mountains, buildings are involved blocking signal. The denser the area, the less frequently it will travel. This is why major cell phone companies try to put up towers every mile or so. If you notice in the PCA, going back to August, law enforcement could correlate the pings with where BK was stopped for traffic tickets he got. When law enforcement writes 12 times in the PCA, the reason they know this is the tower would acknowledge BK's phone and store longitude and latitude with that time. So now we will get to the one people say doesn't work. The prosecution will actually show how good pings work giving this example. The prosecution will demonstrate using their expert in cell towers how cell tower devices handshake with each tower, mapping out BK's directional path. When this ping is acknowledged, the prosecution will show how south there is a tower AT&T at the border of Moscow heading towards Blaine. I think it was. Now Blaine only has a few towers in the middle of the town. Once you cross into Blaine, your cell phone will still utilize the tower at the border of Moscow. The tower in Moscow will still be the nearest tower, but you will not be in Moscow. Remember, you will always connect to the nearest tower. This is how the system is designed to work. It does not work by city if you're in a city. But the tower in the city, B is close, you are connecting with B. There are a few reasons not to not work. If the tower is overloaded, but it's not all these late hours, but not at these late hours of night. So there are zero problems with the pings in the PCA. If that ping would make the FBI look bad, then why would they put it in the PCA? They could have made the defense find it themselves. Nothing criminal about that. FBI left it in because it matches with what presented about cell towers at trial connecting to the nearest tower. The specialist told us over the past few years, especially the last two, technology has changed, going from 3G to 4G to 4G LTE and to 5G. He said, think of it like a water hose with a tiny, I'm really failing at this tonight. Think of it like a water hose with tiny little pinholes. The further water goes, more pinholes. The further water goes through more pinholes. When you get to the end of the hose, you have a weak stream. Towers work the same way. The more cell phone utilizing 4G, less frequency will travel. Think of cell users like pinholes. The more 4G and 5G that is utilized, the frequency will have a hard time going through a mile at best. There's another reason why they just built a monster tower here in the town of Moscow. Pullman has 2 times the towers of Moscow has. Law enforcement just used pings to locate bodies in Lori Vallow's case. He also told us that so many towers in Moscow, law enforcement and FBI could easily triangulate the location of BK. He told us how the frequency is measured by the time it takes frequency to travel from a cell tower and from a tower to a cell. He told us about data brokers and how every app on your phone keeps up with your location, whether you know it or not. It's like $1 billion business. These brokers buy our location from social media companies, navigation companies, eBay, and so much other companies. The brokers buy and sell the private companies. These private companies sell to the government, law enforcement, ICE, DEA, FBI. It was amazing how he broke it all down. But like you stated a while back, they have to have BK's phone, the data retrieved from it will be unstoppable. So I found that actually pretty interesting. I don't know what you guys feel about it. I mean, I think he's talking a little bit about like geofencing. I've heard that term kind of thrown around before, but I kind of wanted to put that out there and maybe give some food for thought. it makes a lot of sense about diluting the signal and connecting to the nearest tower. And like even just driving through my town and driving out on the highway, there's tons of towers everywhere. And I noticed that every couple of miles there's like cell towers. So it's interesting. It was an interesting email that this person shared with me. I thought it would just kind of throw it out there and maybe give you guys some food for thought on that. So yeah, hang on one second here. So Christine says, so the more calls and usage means it can't reach further distances. It's like a weak stream. Exactly. And then Tsunami is saying, Manny Joe says, I feel like it's the most valid new news we've heard since January. Yeah, I mean, to me, it didn't sound like bullshit. I think, he was just kind of throwing his thoughts together really quick, probably why it was so choppy. But I don't know. It's just very, very interesting. And then Tsunami says, I get the Edge network in Eastern Washington drive to Pullman to Seattle. And then Karen T says, this makes total sense. So, I mean, if it's always going to connect to the nearest tower, and that's that whole thing about when they're talking about, oh, well, when his cell signal dropped out, for that hour or whatever, and it wasn't picking up, but it showed up his thing in Moscow. So I think, this makes it makes some sense in this case. I have to go back and actually like try to clearly read it because I just kind of spit it out in online tonight. But I know that we were talking about it in the chat, and it like I said, it doesn't seem like this person's like shooting bullshit. So like I said, I want to throw it out there for food for thought, and we'll move into tonight's show. So we're gonna look back and we're gonna go back. I think I have everything lined up in pretty much chronological order as how this was being reported as it was coming out. I'm going to throw my headphones in. We'll throw up some videos and we'll go through them. Just give me a second here. Yeah. So Misty has a great point. She says they will eventually be able to break down where and when he was at, the exact location, and how many footsteps he took. 100%. Go back to Murdoch. Go back to Lori Vallow case right now. A lot of the cell phone data and locating is becoming a big part of cases now because we have so many things that watch us and that locate us at all times. I do really believe in the whole buying and selling information. These companies grab that. I want to hang on one second. I just want to read what is so like I was talking about geofencing, and the definition is create a virtual geographic boundary area around means GPS or RFID technology, enabling software to trigger response when a mobile device enters or leaves an area. I mean, that's like marketing, like geofencing marketing. You come into an area, you get a text message from a specific company, that thing's like constantly pinging you too. I don't know if that is what I'm trying to articulate in this case. But that's, I think, with that whole buying and selling information, that's where you might get some like advertisement pins, or you're close to like, let's say like, a Gap clothing store, and maybe you're part of their text updates or something, and you get like a text like, hey, if you come in right now, you get 20% off or something like that. So yeah, we don't know. We don't know if they did. That's the thing. Imagine if he had an Apple Watch and they download that heart rate data to see where his heart rate was during those, that 8 hours. It's crazy. All right, let's go through the show. Let's get to the show. Let's get to the show. Let's get to the show. Hang on one second here. Let me look. I want one of those. Okay, let me get the first video. Sorry, I had some echo there. Okay, here's the first one. Let's play through it.
And here to take a deeper dive into who could have done this, what investigators are looking for, is forensic and clinical psychologist Dr. John Delatorre. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Natasha.
And I know you've been tracking this case. Knowing what we know about the murder weapon, also some of the new details to come out this week, what kind of person are investigators likely dealing with here?
I mean, it really hinges on this word targeted. You know, there's been a lot of conversation about this word and why the police used it. And it's really interesting because it seems as though at least three, right, the three women victims may have all shared something in common, something that they probably didn't even know that they shared in common.
Now, this video was like 3 weeks out, I believe. So this was like about 3 weeks after the murders took place.
Most likely, this individual never told anyone, the perpetrator of this crime, never told anyone that they had murderous intent. But usually, this is someone that at least was familiar to each of the four victims, right? There were two other victims inside the house that were left alone. Now, we don't know if the doors were locked or anything like that, but we have to assume that someone knew how to get into that house and knew where each of these four individuals were in the house, in order to not disturb anything or not create a ruckus or a riot or anything like that while committing the offense.
Can you walk us through the resolve, the state of mind that the killer needed to have to carry out this crime?
It's not only the resolve, right? It's not only that, but it's also managing the adrenaline, right? Because you're going to be anxious and nervous when you're committing this crime, because I'm not entirely convinced he's done this before. And I say he because more than likely it is a him. Right, but it's unclear that he's done this before. So you got to manage your adrenaline. You got to manage, right, everything, right, the anxiety that's being provoked. Then you got to manage sort of the physical exertion, right? You're committed to doing this thing, but stabbing individuals with a knife takes a lot out of you, and then you have to move quietly to the next room. There's a lot of resolve. This person wanted to do this, and it probably has been wanting to do this for a very long time.
Well, and some believe the killer is likely an incel or part of that community. Can you explain what that means and what the chances are that that is true?
I've heard that before. I don't think so, right? Incels, they tend to believe that they have no access to women, or that women sort of push them to the side. I'm not really seeing that. It's unlikely that an incel becomes this radicalized. And usually when they become radicalized to engage in behavior like this.
So they were already early saying incel. They were saying that this person that, you know, we didn't know at this time, but this person probably has done this before. And they're saying, you know, he's saying a male subject. And they're also saying that, what was my final thought? I'm sorry, it'll come to me.
It's a performance crime. It's theatrical, right? Elliot Rogers, right? ER is the common phrase that incels use online when they're going to do a crime where multiple people are going to die, pulling in ER. This doesn't ring of a performance. This rings of someone wanting to do this kind of crime, not because they believe that the entire women community has shut them out, but more that something else was going on, that a relationship had been spurned by the victims to this individual.
And we know forensic results are starting to come back. What could be the biggest clue in that? And certainly DNA evidence has to be what investigators are hoping to find.
Usually it's going to be the DNA evidence. And a lot of people say that, well, the perpetrator was using a knife, so more than likely he cut himself at some point. The problem is that if a knife was used, it's possible that the knife had a hilt, right? Where the person's hand might have slipped, but maybe not a cut. Right, gloves, it was freezing cold that night. So it's certainly possible that there is no DNA evidence, which is why this is going to take a long time. It's going to take detectives and investigators, right, knocking on doors, asking questions over and over and over again. This is not something that's going to be resolved quickly.
Appreciate your insight. John Delatorre, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you for watching.
All right. So we got incel, we got male subject, we don't think that he's done this before. Let's see. Let's see. Tsunami says edge weapon was stated on that list just now. K-bar knives has 2 different blade types you can order. Let's go back to that. You're saying in the video, was that I missed that. Let's go back to that video. Is that what you're talking about? Here's something. There's another interesting thing that you're going to see in one of the here in one of the videos and see one of the videos that I find extremely interesting. And I'm going to get to that in a second. Hang on. Let me see if I can find that video because I just shut it down. Let me go back. Here it is. Let's see what he's talking about. Let's see what Tsunami says. Were you talking about that video, Tsunami? Did I miss you? Let's see. Let me go back. I think he's talking about this. Let's pull it up. So it says here, it says November 13th, 4 students found dead inside home. November 14th, victims identified, no suspect in custody. November 15th, police edged weapons such as knife was used in killings. November 18th, victims were likely asleep before murders. November 29th, 5 cars towed away from crime scene. The thing that is very interesting to me too, and it was very early on in all of the reportings and for quite a while, is they kept saying that all of the victims were asleep. They kept saying all the victims were likely asleep. All the victims were likely asleep. What was Tsunami talking about? With the timeline 2 minutes ago. So you're not talking about this? I'll post pics of the different ones on the Discord later. Okay, cool. All right, we'll just keep moving through the show. If everybody's in here, let's smash that like button. I would appreciate it. Okay, let me pull up the next video I had queued. All right, let's pull this up. So looking back, so we're doing, like I said, we're going back to media reports and how this was being reported along the way as this case built.
I do want to welcome back Tracy Walder, former CIA officer and FBI special agent, to speak about this complex investigation. Tracy, thank you for being here.
It's good to see you again, Natasha.
Thank you. And Tracy, what do you make of investigators being back on the scene now, collecting more evidence? And also, how much of a red flag in your mind is it that the lock was replaced the week before? Where is your mind when you hear that piece of information?
Yeah, I was really surprised actually to hear that, somewhat late on a weekend evening, that it looks like local law enforcement, just by seeing their badges, is who went inside. It looks to me like it's some kind of evidence recovery that they were doing. If they were turning lights on and off, I haven't seen the footage, but if that's what they were doing, they were most likely looking for bodily fluids of some sort. And if they were taking it out in paper bags, that's usually what we use when dealing with biodegradable kinds of fluids. That's how we transport evidence of that nature. I'm surprised that 3 weeks into the investigation, they're still collecting biological evidence. Typically, that's something that's collected rather early on. So that's surprising to me, although it could be the result of another lead, which is a really good thing. In terms of the locks being replaced that Xana's mother was speaking about, that's interesting to me. I'd want to know why. Was it replaced simply because, mundane thing that it was just broken? Or was it replaced because she didn't feel safe? So I think that's really a critical thing to look at.
And we know you've been looking at some of the images from the scene from inside of the home. What can you share with us? What is striking to you?
So what's interesting to me, and again, I'm sort of a cyber sleuth here. I'm no longer an FBI agent. I'm no longer in law enforcement. But just in looking at some of the pictures that I've seen that I think folks have probably taken with a long lens into this house, there seems to be evidence taped up on the inside of the kitchen window. So with that.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before. Did you guys hear that? Let me know in the chat. Did you hear that there was evidence tape inside the home? That there could have been evidence tape inside the home? If you did, hit a 1 in the chat, or hit a 2 if you haven't heard it. So 1, you've heard of that. 2, you haven't.
Indicates to me is that
Let's go back.
of the kitchen window. So with that, I'm no longer an FBI agent. I'm no longer in law enforcement. But just in looking at some of the pictures that I've seen that I think folks have probably taken with a long lens into this house, there seems to be evidence taped up on the inside.
I can't get over how tight those streets are. It's so tight, and the houses are so close, and no one, well, that we know of, heard or saw anything outside that house that night.
Inside of the kitchen window. So what that indicates to me is that perhaps there is blood spatter. There is some kind of biological evidence there that they did use evidence tape to mark. And so that is an indicator to me that perhaps not all of these victims were killed in their bedroom. We know that Maddie and Kaylee were killed in their beds together, unfortunately, but we don't know for sure about Xana and Ethan. So that indicates to me that perhaps there was some violence that occurred outside of a bedroom.
And our viewers.
Okay. So this is interesting. Early on here in the investigation, they're even saying that there could have been some violence outside of the other room coming, Ethan and Xana. And, I've kind of had that theory too, that maybe Ethan ran into Bryan. Maybe he was coming out of the bathroom or something like that, because there's been reports that he was killed either in her room or found halfway out in the hallway or halfway in the doorway. And I've kind of always thought that too, to give Bryan that reason to come down from the 3rd floor and strike another victim before, strike 2 other victims and scrub them out before he leaves, or the alleged suspect. I'm sorry, the alleged suspect, to scrub them out. So I think that suspect must have heard something coming from that direction to go in that direction and murder Xana and Ethan. He had to have seen or heard something.
At the start of the investigation, shocked at the blood on the exterior wall of the house. Can you explain how that happened? What does it tell us?
So that's a hard thing to really talk about. I'll be honest, I have never seen something like that before. I have seen violent crime scenes. I have never.
Yeah, so Amber's asking, I get that, Bryan. Why does Kaylee's dad keep saying he didn't have to go upstairs? There's something to that. There has to be. The only reason that I think that he would say that is, what would you say? And again, I'm not being attacking, but I'm just saying, if your daughter was brutally murdered, what would you say? You didn't have to go up there and kill my daughter. You didn't have to go there. Maybe that's the type of thing that I'm getting from that vibe. Or you may be right. There may be more to that. This is a weird, strange case. Every time I go to break this down, I'm pulled in a different direction. Now, I think they got the right guy. I'm almost confident they do. But all those puzzle pieces coming together is like a fucking Picasso painting. The ear is over here, the nose is over here, and the mouth is up here somewhere. I can't figure it out. And every time that I think that I have my thumb on it, it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. And I think that everybody else is probably in that position. I mean, I have many conversations with my channel members behind offline, and we just throw theories out and we get even more confused. I just want to pull this up too. I thought this was a really good chat. Hang on one second. Where did I see it? Mama Style says, I agree with Bryan. I was thinking the same, that dad would just be wishing the murderer hadn't gone upstairs. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. But again, Amber may be right. There may be something more to that. And that's what we do when we look at all these particular types of things. So let's see. Pamela Smith is saying, any truth that the police took a set of golf clubs from the house. Many speculate Ethan used the golf club to defend himself. Rumors in this case are crazy. I haven't heard anything like that, but that's very interesting that you said that. Tsunami says the crime scene tape inside was probably put up till the detective showed up at 4:30 p.m. on 11/13. Okay. Let's see. And that's most likely true. Let's see. I just want to see if there's any other chats. I think the knife sheath came from WSU criminology department. And Live says yes, this case does need some defragging for sure. It literally boggles my brain every day. I have such a hard time with this case. And then Mountain Mama says Steve Gonzalez also said in one of the interviews that someone knows something and that they need to man up and step forward. It sounded like he was kind of threatening someone. Yeah, again, that might be a loaded question. You know, he's just throwing things out there to try to draw something out of someone, you know, kind of like a reverse psychology type of tactic. The thing is, we really don't know. We really don't know. I just want to acknowledge this super sticker, the $4.99 super sticker from YouTube user 336. And I will give the tones.
Great cash, homie.
Let's do a
Steven.
We'll do a Steven this time. All right, everybody lean back and relax. All right.
Bar.
Thank you so much for that super chat and for supporting the channel. Okay, let's keep on here. Let's keep on.
Seen blood coming out of the side of the house. I'm not certain if it's been confirmed that it's blood or not. It certainly looks like that to me. That's probably the result of sort of bad lining in the house or faulty sort of caulking of the house, and really an overabundance of blood, quite frankly. If you look at the images, I guess, of the house and where the blood is, that's the room that would have unfortunately been Xana's room. But it's hard to know whose blood that is.
Yeah, the exterior wall outside of her room, and one can only imagine the sheer amount of blood in order for it to.
So I would probably guess that her bed is up against this adjacent wall here. So let's just say she was killed on her bed. That would probably be the wall that her bed in, or maybe that's where her body or Ethan's body fell. I know that sounds very grotesque and it's gross to think that. But yeah, that's pretty deep.
Drip down an exterior like that. And certainly, you know, the parents speaking to Bryan Enton are frustrated in the past weeks. You have been very supportive and understanding of this investigation. I've appreciated that. In the last hour when we were speaking, you were pointing some things out, and we were discussing, for example, how quickly some of these suspects were ruled out. What could be done better as you are taking a bird's eye view of this investigation?
Yes, and you know, I try to be as supportive of law enforcement as possible. You know, I don't think that they are ultimately trying to do the bad thing. I think they are trying to do the right thing. But what I do think could be better is communication, because I think it was Olivia Gonzalez who just said in that clip that you're referencing was that she feels that this absence of information is creating sort of all of these theories and all of these sort of people that are becoming victims that don't necessarily need to be. And so, in my opinion, I do think that communication could be done better on the part of law enforcement and their public affairs office here.
All right, Tracy Walder, certainly appreciate it. Thank you so
much. All right. All right. What do you all think so far? Are you enjoying the show? Please give me a 1 in the chat if you are, or 2 if you're not. I'm sure I won't see any 2s. Let's see some 1s. Let's see some 1. Okay, Missy Aron says she was on the floor, the document stated. Aha. Let's see those 1s. Amber says seeing the blood on the outside of the house makes me think that a massive fight went on in there and how that DM did not hear that being on the same floor. You know, it's a great question. It's funny. I'm gonna read something really quick. I was messaging with one of the channel members earlier, and I just said, you know, we were talking about you know, I've thrown around this theory too. You know, did DM have some type of conversation with Bryan Kohberger on the way out? And I said I'm starting to think that DM might have known Bryan, or he had some type of conversation with her that night, and that it scared the living shit out of her for her enough to go back in her room and shut the door. She didn't just turn around and go back into the room to lay down. No rational person in their mind would do so. Not after the noise that came from inside that house. Not after seeing someone dressed in black with a mask over their face walk past you that you've never seen before. I said, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And we were saying, you know, there's more to that story. There's more to that story that we haven't heard or seen yet. So I think there's still a lot to that story, and that really bugs me. That's the thing that's bugging me right now. The 8-hour gap, the 911 call, the whole sketchiness about, you know, going back in your room and shutting the door after all that commotion, after how loud that was. 4 people basically physically getting probably thrown around, you know, maybe that fight just around the corner. You yell out, hey, you know, quiet down or shut the fuck up or whatever it was. And that you just go back in your room after everything goes quiet, after someone walks past you clad in black with a mask over their face that you've never seen before, walk out a sliding glass door in the night, that you just decide, hey, I'm going to go back in my room and just go to bed. I'm not going to check on anybody. I'll make the call. You know, I'll have someone make the call at just before noon the next day. Don't make sense to me. It don't make sense to me. It just doesn't. Just doesn't make sense. Amber says, I believe you're right. I believe she knows him personally. Could be. Quite could be. Chosen Rosen saying Gen Z. Yeah, but every rational person would just not do that. It can't be. I don't know. I again, I don't have all the evidence. I don't have all the answers, but I'm hope that we find out, and you know, I hope we get some answers because we need justice in this case. All right, let's pull this up.
Students as they slept in their beds. I'm Anjanette Levy, and welcome to Law and Crime's Sidebar podcast. We are taking a closer look at that tragic murder investigation that is underway in Idaho. This is where 4 college students were stabbed in their beds a little bit more than a week ago. Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Cornodal, and Madison Mogan were found stabbed to death just before 11 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th. All 4 students had been out for the night before, but police said that they've been working on the timeline, and they've been able to determine that all of those students, the 4, were home by 1:45 in the morning. So they've really established a timeline here, and then that 911 call was placed at 11 a.m., so just about 9 hours later.
Interesting theory here, and this has been thrown around too. Party of 5. Oof, 5. I don't think she was really there or stayed there all night. And we've had kind of that, we've thrown that around in the private chat too. We thought maybe there could have been, you know, maybe the suspect comes by, sees her, grabs her, kidnaps her, takes her out of the house, threatens her, maybe was gonna kill her, basically says, if you do anything, I know where you are. I know who you are. I'll come back for you. Brings her back at 9 o'clock in the morning and drops her off. You know, we've thrown that theory around too. Some people have said, you know, she wasn't there the whole time. She left, she came back. So this is an interesting point too. Very interesting.
So it's a real mystery.
We need to know.
It's pretty disturbing what happened to these college students.
We need to know.
Ethan Chapin was actually memorialized at a service on Monday evening. So I thought we should take a closer look at the investigation. And joining us to do that is Phil Waters. He is a veteran homicide detective. He worked murders and high-profile murder cases for more than 23 years in Houston with the Houston Police Department. He is also the founder of Kindred Spirits Investigations. Phil, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Angela. I appreciate it.
Let's talk a little bit about what we know so far. We know that these 4 college students returned home sometime around 1:45 a.m. on November 13th, and 11 a.m. a 911 call is placed. Police have said
Why?
they ruled out the 911 caller. There were other friends in the house because the roommates called friends. They thought one of these people was passed out and just wouldn't wake up. And so they said they've ruled out the roommates too, who were home when this happened. So what are your thoughts as a veteran homicide detective about what we know about that timeline so far and the fact that they say they've ruled out the roommates and the 911 caller?
Oh, will you pause it real quick?
Well, I can tell you that initially on any investigation, and certainly one of this magnitude, it's very important to eliminate suspects as it is to find the right person. So when you get through that process of elimination, and of course, the people that are closest to the event are going to be the first ones that you're going to look at. And they're going to have to provide some sort of explanation as to what they heard, what they didn't hear, where were they in the house when this happened. Now, my understanding is this is a 6-bedroom. It's a pretty good size house. And it appears that each one of these students were living in those separate.
So the thing that's very interesting about the IDs, and I actually went back with Laura. I don't know if she's in the chat, and we talked about this, and we went, and I actually want to bring up the probable cause affidavit at some point again and go over that, because there's a lot of things in there that we missed. And I don't know if Laura is here. We figured that Xana was identified by her ID. It states that in the PCA, but Maddie, Ethan, and Kaylee, it doesn't say anything about them being identified by their ID. I think Ethan was identified by a friend, and Kaylee and Maddie were identified. It says there later on. So they weren't ID'd at the scene via their IDs. So that's something very interesting too. Laura, did I get that right? So we figured Xana was ID'd by her license. Ethan, I think it said, was later identified by a friend. And correct me if I'm wrong, Laura. And then Maddie and Kaylee were identified, it says thereafter or something like that, meaning that they were probably identified by family or friends. Am I right on that, Laura? I think because we were talking about this the other night on the phone, actually. Let me know, Laura, if I'm right on that. She says, you got it. She says, they had Xana's ID, but they did not mention the IDs of Kaylee, Maddie, or Ethan. And that's very interesting. And that's something that I want to do. I want to do another probable cause affidavit stream and really go through that with a fine-tooth comb and just really look at things now that we know, what we know now. But I Laura and I were kind of pitching around this idea. If there were any of the IDs taken, it could have been there 3. Mandy says if he's going to take an ID, he would have taken Xana's because it was within eye shot. And she says, but he didn't take it. So the ID had to be Maddie, Kaylee, or DM, right? That's what we're thinking. And maybe he took DM's ID. I think that there had to, I've gone on the theory that there was some conversation. Let's just say DM didn't know BK, Bryan Kohberger, and he's going to leave and she sees him and there is some conversation. I threw around the idea. He looks at her and says, listen, I'll get you too. I know who you are. Give me your ID. I will come back for you. We've thrown that idea around too. They had a conversation. They might have had a conversation. and he threatened her, and that scared her enough to go. He goes, go back inside your fucking door and lock the door and don't come out. You know, maybe there's some conversation like that. And she's so frightened, goes in her room, locks herself in a room, and has no idea what to do. You know, if I come out of this room, is this person still here? Is he waiting? You know, then what first, you know, maybe she falls asleep during that, wakes up, first light comes, she gets up, starts panicking, calling friends. You know, we've thrown that scenario around too. So there's a lot of theories. Believe me, there's a lot of theories in this. It's strange. And, you know, like I said, it's like a Picasso painting. The ear is here. The mouth is over here. The chin is on this side. The two eyeballs are up here. We can't figure it out. But let's keep playing through this.
Separate bedrooms. They were all roommates. And so we don't know, at least it hasn't been revealed to us. It has been said that they were presumably asleep when this occurred. We don't know if there were people in each bedroom or if there were two people in one bedroom and so forth and so on. So we don't know what the numbers were as distributed through the house itself. The two roommates that survived this thing, it's not a big, I know some folks have been making a big deal out of the fact they didn't hear anything, but given the type of weapon that was used and
I didn't see super chat come
the
through.
detail that's been released that they were presumably asleep when this occurred doesn't really suggest that they would have heard anything anyway, because that's certainly a silent way to kill someone. And if that person, the suspect, is on them, it doesn't give them time to cry out. So
let me see. Hang on.
The scene itself is going to be kind of complicated in the sense that you've got to, if you can process that scene and look and see what the movement was of the killer, if you can kind of take a look at who the first victim was and then where did it go from there.
Christine, no super chat came through. I just got the $1.99 from Shani that just showed up. Shani, thank you so much.
Not only the timeline of when.
Hang on, thank you so much. Let me acknowledge the super chat. Shani sent a $1.99 sticker. Thank you so much.
Great cash, homie.
But I did not see yours come through, Christine.
I got you, homie.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate the $1.99 super sticker. Super sticker.
When those kids got home, but the timeline of when the killing started. Now, I've seen in some of the reports that they're speculating that the killings actually started occurring around 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, I'm not sure how they've been able to determine that. They know that they got home around 1:45. So that hour and 15-minute period there, I'm not sure how they determined what was happening. But so they're going to have to let the scene talk to them. And
all right, let's acknowledge this. Christine Brown with a $5 super sticker. It fell down the other day. I got to put it back up. We'll put it back up. It fell down the other day and I forgot to put it back up. It's up there. It's up there. Let's give her the tone.
How dare you?
Great cash, homie.
How dare you?
Steven.
All right. Thank you, Christine. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. So Bonbon says, I believe they got the wrong person and there is people out there that did this. Bonbon, give us some supporting comments in the chat. I'd love to see why you think that BK is the wrong person. Let's keep playing through this, guys and ladies.
And try to let the evidence lead them where they need to be. But right now, they've got a lot of evidence, and it's not leading them in a particular direction in terms of a suspect.
I like what you said there about letting the scene talk to them, because I can't imagine, and I hate to be gruesome here, but stabbing somebody takes, I mean, a lot of energy. So I would assume that in the act of stabbing somebody, and I don't know the nature or where these wounds were, I just know they were stabbed. That there would be something left behind. And we heard too that there were some defensive wounds. That's what the police had said. Some of them had defensive wounds. So is it possible the killer left something that is going to help identify that person?
I'm going to be eating a Chipotle burrito and testing it on my NutriSense glucose monitor.
In most cases, at least from my own experience, when a suspect at a scene, they do bring something to the scene themselves, right? So there's going to be something that they have left behind. Now, whether that's DNA and so forth and so on, unless they were prepared to not leave that kind of evidence. But when you've got something that is so personal, like a stabbing, where you've got to have direct contact, and especially when you have defensive wounds. So the normal course of events would be at the autopsy, they're going to take fingernail scrapings off of each of these victims in the hopes that we're going to have some sort of identifiable DNA profile underneath those fingernail scrapings. So there's a lot of things, and in my experience as well, when you have an edged weapon that's used, it's usually used in a flurry. And when that person is doing that, they don't really have a concept of where that blade is going. And so there are many times when the suspect will actually cut themselves in the process of the stabbing. And then again, they leave a part of themselves behind, leave some DNA there. So the blood evidence, I'm sure, is huge in this case, as most stabbings are. There's a lot of blood. So it's going to be a determination of looking at spatter or looking at blood drops in specific places and take those samples, because you don't know if that's the blood of the victim or if that may be the blood of the suspect.
Yeah, and you could have a mixture in there. We see that sometimes in a lot of cases, that especially in something so violent like this, there is a mixture of different blood and DNA. Phil, I'm wondering, they brought the FBI in to assist. Apparently they have 2 agents from the behavioral analysis unit who've been brought in, plus other FBI agents. So you've got a lot of people working on this case. So obviously you look at the scene. I'm assuming you're going to go through their cell phones, the college students' cell phones, the victims' phones, go through the phones of anybody who was in the house. I'm thinking to myself, we live in a world where there are cameras everywhere now.
Yeah, I just want to support this. So Karen T says pings are way more accurate than that. The sheath was found relatively soon. I think that in the first couple of hours, and it was actually seen relatively pretty quick in the investigation. And I just want to add some supporting comments to Karen T. And just in response to Bonbon. Bonbon, if you go back and actually watch the Murdoff case, and you can probably look up the just type in, like, to your YouTube search, like Murdoff cell phone pings or cell phone data, the meticulous nature that they can break cell phone pings and where location and latitude and longitude, and we actually talked about this at the beginning of the stream, is almost I wouldn't say like mind-boggling, but it's amazing how close they can literally break down locations of cell phone now by feet, almost some by inches. And that's how they actually put Murdoff in specific. They mapped it out, his steps that he took along a map. You can watch the whole section of that trial. It's pretty incredible how they can get into that. Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to do some clarifying. But like I said, you are open to your own opinion, Bonbon. We just try to throw everything out there, see what people think here in this chat, and we kind of throw some theories around in opinions. But totally. Yeah, totally. Misty says, I think the first cops arriving went and secured the scene and the other cops showed up. the body cams of the first arriving, reviewed the body cams of the first arriving officers. Yes, we are so close to 100 likes. We're at 83. When we get to 100 likes, someone's going to get a free membership tonight. A free membership. Why wouldn't you want something for free?
So I would assume they've already canvassed that neighborhood and that general area looking for anyone who might have been captured on video around that time, in that window of, whatever it is, 2 a.m. to maybe, 8 and 9 in the morning.
Well, I would tell you that, so this, as most homicides are, but this one in particular, because just the scope of it, are multi-layered, right? So you've got detectives that are tracking down the cell phone. They're going to get the cell phones. They're going to dump the cell phones. They're going to see what's on there. Who did they talk to last? Where's the consistent?
See, and that's the thing too, is I want everybody, if this is your first time over watching us tonight, listen, in that PCA, you're only getting a small fraction of the evidence out there. That's not the full evidence that they have. And this is a good point that this gentleman's bringing up right now. And I'm sorry, I forgot his name. But you have to make sure you understand there is cell phone data. There's going to be search history data. There were multiple computers that were seized. We've seen bank accounts. We've seen social media contacts of the victims and Bryan Kohberger. You have evidence at his parents' house that hasn't even been processed yet. You have the car that we haven't even heard about it yet. You haven't even heard about fingernail scrapings under the victim's fingernails. You haven't even heard anything about the 103 pieces of evidence that has been collected at King Road. You haven't heard anything about the 4,000 photos that were taken at King Road, the digital scans of the inside and outside of that home. There is a lot of evidence that you have not heard in this case yet. So you can't really, squeeze this down to a very small space and say this is the only evidence they have. There's a lot more evidence out there that you haven't heard yet. The
phone calls being made, so forth and so on, pictures, that kind of thing. Do they have anything on their videos that were taken earlier in the night?
That's right.
And take a look at those things and see what people we have around those kids, and see if those folks can be identified. So everybody that can
you're going to see, let's just say there is DNA in that car. You're going to see the piece of the vehicle that had DNA, the carpet or whatever, and they're going to say, we found DNA here, or maybe it was on a seatbelt strap. You're going to see the seatbelt strap. We found DNA here. Oh, on the pedal of the brake pedal. The brake pedal is going to come into court. The gas pedal is going to come into court. The shifter knob, whatever. If there's any piece, you're going to see all that get brought into court. And I think Amber makes a very good point on this as well too. So that's the thing. I don't want people to minimize the evidence, because there's a lot of things in this that we have not even seen or heard yet. And there's probably, we still don't even know the motive. We're going to hear the motive. We're going to understand the motive. We haven't even heard that yet. So we'll keep playing on.
Identified and spoken with. That is going to be something that at least in my department, we would work the witness side, we would work the scene side. So we had a pair that one would work one side, one would work
I think the car is going to be big.
I would assume they have some sort of a similar system where they're delegating parts of the investigation to a variety of.
So, Bombitz, what if there's no DNA in the car? Absolutely. I think the car is going to be big as well too.
Detectives that are specifically tracking down those.
But you were talking about cell phone pings.
Are you ready to pursue the career of your dreams? Start your future today at Master.
So the videos, of course, I would go back to the
exactly.
If we can capture
that's why we come here
anywhere on video and see if we have people that are with them consistent with those videos as they move through the evening. And now I have seen the one video there at the food truck. There was a guy there in a hoodie. I think I read where he's been eliminated. So, but they're culling through those things, and if they can find any other additional video off of another house across the street, off of a business, I would even be going the route that was taken from the bar to the food truck, from the food truck to the house, and see if we've got any video, and if we have any vehicles, or if we can see who they're with, that may not have been revealed beforehand.
Well, it certainly is a case that is confounding and awful, and it just seems to me that this would not be random. That this person, I would assume, more than likely knows these people, and to talk about just the intimate nature of stabbing, I would assume that the killer knows the victims. Would you make that assumption, or can we not do that yet?
Well, I think when I talked before about this, we talked about the randomness or the possibility that they knew these folks. There's no doubt, at least in my mind, what little I know about it, and just what I'm reading, that this was a targeted event. And the reason that I would say that is just because of the evidence that I know of and my own observations. Is you've got two occupants, two residents in that house that were untouched, were not harmed in any way. So these four individuals, for whatever reason, appear to be targeted. Now, does that mean that the person that targeted them was random in the sense that they didn't know them at all and they just picked them out out of the clear blue sky? They're having too much fun, I'm going to go, put my misery on them? Or was it someone that they encountered earlier in the night or in the night and did not know that person prior to that encountering, and something occurred that greatly offended that person, and they decided they were going to seek some sort of retribution about whatever that relationship was or whatever that contact was.
I agree.
So it could be a random meeting with a person that becomes known to them only because of that meeting. But then the other side of that is that it may be somebody who knew them and for whatever reason decided to go and kill four people with just reckless abandon. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any hesitation in this. Something triggered this suspect to do what they did.
Well, it is certainly awful, and we'll be keeping an eye on it to see where the investigation goes next. Phil Waters, a veteran homicide detective and founder of Kindred Spirits Investigations.
Okay, well, we are still moving along here. If you're just coming into the stream, or you're just stopping by, kind of figuring out like what's going on here, what we're doing here is this is part 4 in our series of looking back at the Idaho 4 and what got us to this point. If you haven't seen first, second, or third parts, you can go back and check that back in my videos that are posted online. Just click on the live stream tab and they're all right there. And then once eventually this all, when I conclude this series, I will kind of lump all of those together so you can go back and watch those live streams. If you're first time over here in the chat, please make sure to subscribe. If you like this comment, turn on your bell notifications. I go live 3 nights a week, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I really would appreciate if you smash that like button right now. I would appreciate it. Once we get to 100 likes, we're going to give away a free membership this evening. So let's keep going on with the theme here and see where we're at. All right, this one here is about the food truck suspect. The food truck suspect. Let me just find the video. Hang on one second. All right, here we go. Let's play it.
We want to turn now to our questions from our viewers and our listeners. The first one comes from Shania Wozniak. I hope I pronounced that properly. And it's posted on Facebook. And she asked, Joseph, I'll direct this first one to you. Why haven't they revisited that one person who was at the food truck kiosk downtown? I feel they've cleared everyone way too early.
Oh snap, Sharon, there is a YouTuber that does timelines. I won't say the name, but but I send a mod or Bryan the name. The person is known for the way they put timelines to make sense as given by investigations. I don't know who it is.
In this investigation. So we believe that she's referring to the man in the hoodie at the food truck who was near Maddie and Kaylee right before they went home for the evening. So what's your thought on that, about them not revisiting that or going back to him? As far as we know, they said that they don't believe he's involved.
Yeah, that's the key. You said, as far as we know. We don't know what they've done. They know where to find him, though. And I would imagine along the way at some point in time, if they think that there is some kind of connection to these crimes, because we can't just call it a crime.
Yeah, she was in the chat the other night.
Multiple homicide, each individual victim. So with that said, they're going to go through this individual's social media. They're going to go through their phone records, perhaps, and see if there's any kind of connectivity with any of the direct connectivity with the victims, and also any of the peripherals that are associated with that. In addition to that, if they have any kind of unknown biological evidence at the scene, this individual will be first on the list.
Yeah, but they'll nail that down, AZ. They'll nail that down by cell phone data and pings, and times that things were, pinging off everything. So I think at some point in like court, that'll get all kind of locked down as to the timeline. All right, let's keep playing through this.
To eliminate, and that's my big question here. Has this individual been eliminated from a biological standpoint relative to connectivity of any of the individuals or to the scene itself?
Imran, as a former prosecutor, talk to us a little bit about that process of ruling people not just in, but excluding them. It seems like a lot of times that's what investigators try to do. They try to rule people out. And if they can't rule them out, then they're not ruled out. They may be ruled in. So that process, maybe you're doing an initial interview, but you may go back and re-interview.
I will drop my email.
Later date. So what's that process like of trying to eliminate people as far as they go as a possible suspect?
Sure. So an investigation like this, as we have been seeing, is dynamic. Certain information is gleaned, information is then digested by law enforcement. As a former prosecutor, I could tell you that I would ride along crime investigations with detectives, and I was able to see from a legal perspective how things were gleaned evidentiary-wise, and how you would now eliminate a suspect or suspects by sort of digesting and analyzing this evidence. And, we're not getting a lot of information in specifics from law enforcement here. That, I think you get a sense that there is an active investigation, as we know. And I don't think they're ruling anyone out per se. I think that maybe they're talking to people, and maybe this individual in the hoodie, maybe at least for this moment, perhaps ruled out. But I don't think they're totally crossing anyone off this list as investigation continues and evidence is procured.
And Imran, I wanted to ask you about that as well. This whole, you just kind of alluded to it, ruling people out. So do you think it's been too quick that they've?
I did something about this. I want to say that if your phone is in airplane mode, and I have to look this up again, I want to say that it will still try to connect in some way, and I'll figure that out again. I'll drop it in the Discord server later. I just got to look into it again. But I remember in a past stream that I did a while ago, we talked about this, and there is a way that it does try to continue to connect, but I could be wrong on that. I got to go back and look at it.
Come out and said, well, we don't believe this person is involved at this point.
You guys stop talking about the blood. Still talking about blood.
Statements too quickly, or they're just saying that because at this point they just don't have enough to say that they are.
Well, we've seen that historically happen. We've seen law enforcement, looking at someone as a suspect, and perhaps at that point they're ruled out, but later on, further evidence implicates someone in the crime.
We're at 93 likes. We only need 7 more to get to 100. Once we get to 100, we're going to give away a free membership.
Too quickly. Well, it's the job of law enforcement to narrow down an investigation like this, to focus on people who are suspects or maybe a suspect, or get evidence regarding these crimes. And if there is someone or something that they feel is not pertinent evidentiary-wise in terms of leading to probable cause for an arrest for these crimes, then I think it's prudent that they let that be known. But I think it's an active investigation, and all eyes are on the law enforcement in this very rural area. So we're going to be seeing them, I think, taking a very close look at everyone, ruling people out, but also not excluding possibilities.
Hey guys, Sean Sticks Larkin here from On Patrol Live. The holiday season's upon us, and if you're looking for that perfect gift.
Whoa. All right, we're done with that one there. All right, let's keep moving on here. So this one's going to be about, was the Sigma Chi fraternity investigated by police? Was the Sigma Chi fraternity investigated by police? Let's
in the
play it.
area of the homicides on the morning they occurred. Of course, those 4 victims, Kaylee Gonsalves, Maddie Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xander Kernodle, 4 young people, their lives
Wow, look at the
snuffed
chat
out,
tonight. It's
within
crazy. You
minutes.
guys are lighting the
and
chat
it's
up.
just a horrific crime that has rocked this small community. We are taking your questions, and we have been this whole hour. Please
Chat
keep them
is
coming on
crazy.
Twitter,
We only
Facebook,
need 2
Twitch,
more
and
likes to
YouTube,
get
and
to
we will get
100.
to as many
Just
of them
2 more
as possible
Let's
and
do it.
answer them to the
Let's
best of
go.
our
Let's
abilities.
go.
Jennifer Coffenduffer is a former FBI agent. She is here with us, along with Imran Ansari. He is a host here at Law and Crime and an attorney. I want to start this question with you, Jennifer, or toss this one to you. It comes from Miss Anonymous from YouTube, and she asks, have any leads investigated come from TikTok? What are your thoughts on that possibility?
Oh, I think definitely so. I can tell you my DM box is overloaded with information that's been conducted by different sleuths. And listen, they do amazing work. They're doing what the analysts aren't doing quite yet, or have just started doing within law enforcement, because they're waiting on subpoena returns and court order returns. But the cyber sleuths are in looking at all the social media, and they have found some.
For a limited time only, Tasca Mazda.
I promise that actually a couple days, or by next month, I got that super chat the other day, the $50 super chat. We are going to put that towards making sure that I get a premium membership to skip the ads. I won't have ads anymore when I play videos. I'm going to use that. Thank you for that $50 super
is
chat.
offering up to $750 off in stock Mazda CX-50 models.
Very interesting clues, things that are being said, definite pictures of this possible Elantra
We at 100?
that they have found in the background, even of
We're at 99.
Maddie, in one picture. So they're finding great information, and those are being sent in, I can assure you, to the FBI and to the tip line, so they can be further evaluated by law enforcement.
And they are collecting that information. The Moscow police has put that information out, that they are asking people to upload any digital evidence to the.
So we have a new membership, a new member. I can't pull it up, unfortunately, but Christine Brown has gifted a membership to Misty. Misty is a new channel member. We just hit the 100. We just hit 100 likes. Let's do the tone, everybody. Which one should we do? Let's do this one.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
All right, let's keep playing through.
FBI's website.
Thank you
So
so
that is a
much.
place where people can submit that information. We want to take this next question, and it comes from Allison from YouTube, or it might be Alacan. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. Did they interview peeps from the frat house? And let me tell you, I will answer that question. I'll take that one. Yes, they have. And I've spoken to people at the Sigma Chi house where Ethan was a member and where Xana and Ethan attended the party that night at the Sigma Chi house on November 12th, just a short distance away from the house where the murders occurred. Ethan lived at the frat house, Xana at her home on King Road with Maddie and Kaylee. And those people have been interviewed, and we've been told by the president of Sigma Chi that they are cooperating with law enforcement and have told them everything they know. So that's what we've been told. Imran, this next question will go to you. Fernanda Volcanis from YouTube asks, with no break-in, dog trapped in one of the rooms, no footprints with blood outside the house, couldn't the killer be a friend who went to sleep together and did it without haste and fear? So that's a hypothetical here.
Yeah, Anjanette, no, listen, I think the fact that there was no forced entry and there's no sort of evidence, residual evidence of showing an entrance or exit that may be linked to the killings raises some questions. I think law enforcement most likely started with their investigations, let's say in the four corners of that house and who was in that house at the time and when they responded to the scene, the roommates, etc. There is that aspect of the house being a gathering point for college students and friends and whatnot that may complicate things, because the fact that there's no forced entry lends itself to an idea or a theory that this is someone who is familiar with one or all of the victims here. But, you know, I think law enforcement started in the closest proximity of where these bodies were found, and they've sort of expanded from that search. But it is very interesting that there's no forced entry and there's no evidence of entering or exit regarding, you know, say the bloody footprints or things like that. And I think law enforcement have looked.
Join large-scale battles with military vehicles. The online action game War Thunder has received a major
at that, and they continue to look at what was in the four corners, if you will, of the house and now beyond.
Interesting you bring that up about the entry point, because they're not commenting. I asked specifically Imran and Jennifer, how do you think this person got in the home? And they won't say. Everybody's been speculating about that sliding glass door at the back of the home that leads to the second floor. That seems likely, but we just don't know. It's one of those questions we'd all love to have answered. Jennifer, this next question is for you. It comes from Handsome Hensley on YouTube. Is it possible there may have been some type of altercation at the frat house, or maybe one of the frat members had an issue with them and followed them home? It seems that they must have had knowledge of the layout of the home. Was anybody at the frat interviewed? Well, we know they were, but your thoughts on this possibly being an altercation at the fraternity house and the party? Obviously, these are all just people, you know, asking questions about things they're wondering. Your thoughts on that possibility?
Well, there's a huge hiatus of time between the time they were at the party and the time they returned home, seemingly, at least from the timeline that we have made available to us through law enforcement. So as far as we know, those gaps have not been filled yet. Was there an altercation? We don't know, because we're not privy to those interviews. I can tell you I've personally seen, though, different videos that have been sent to me at various times, you know, certainly interesting verbiage between people at the Sigma Chi house and Maddie and others. So, you know, they're going to be looking at all of this. Did anybody have an issue? But I think because here we are weeks out and we still don't have a prime suspect, we are at the furthest reaches of the web that are on the peripheral of these individuals, meaning they are not the most obvious suspect, seemingly, or else we would probably have that suspect named by now.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Good
we're
point.
all just guessing, really.
Just briefly, Imran, we don't have a lot of time left, but as a former prosecutor, how involved would the actual prosecutors be in this case? Because obviously the law enforcement does the investigation, but the prosecutor has to win the case should it ever go to trial or be prosecuted. So we know that the prosecutor hasn't really said much since an interview about a week ago, but briefly, how involved.
What do you want me to go back? You want me to go back in the video, Mandy? Let me know in the video. Did I miss something, or do you want to hear something again? Let me know in the chat, Mandy. Did she say? Let's see. You want me to go back? I'll go back.
So house and the party, obviously these are all just people, asking questions about things they're wondering. Your thoughts on that possibility?
Well, there's a huge hiatus of time between the time they were at the party and the time they returned home, seemingly, at least from the timeline that we have made available to us through law enforcement. So as far as we know, those gaps have not been filled yet. Was there an altercation? We don't know because we're not privy to those interviews. Come on, man. I can tell you I've personally seen, though, different videos that have been sent to me at various times. Come on, man. Certainly interesting verbiage between people at the Sigma Chi house and Matt.
Did she say she got videos? What? The hell is she fucking saying? Wait a minute here.
Not been filled yet. Was there an altercation? We don't know because we're not privy to those interviews. I can tell you I've personally seen, though, different videos that have been sent to me at various times, certainly interesting verbiage between people at the Sigma Chi house and Maddie and others. So
that's interesting.
They're going to be looking at all of this. Did anybody have an issue? But I think because here we are weeks out and we still don't have a prime suspect, we are at the furthest reaches of the web that are on the peripheral of these individuals, meaning they are not the most obvious suspects, seemingly, or else we would probably have that suspect named by now.
Yeah, definitely. Good point. Just briefly, Imran, we don't have a lot of time left, but as a former prosecutor, how involved
I know that,
would the actual prosecutors be in this case? Because obviously the law enforcement does the investigation, but the prosecutor has to win the case.
She
should
said,
it ever go to trial or be.
I want to go back because Mandy's making a good point out of this. And she said that she had sources that were sending her videos of video inside the Sigma Chi house and conversations with how Maddie and Kaylee were acting inside that house. That's very interesting.
Be prosecuted. So we know that the prosecutor hasn't really said much since an interview about a week ago, but briefly, how involved do you think he is in the inner workings of this investigation?
Sure. So, Anjanette, that's a great question because, ultimately the ammo that the district attorney's office or the prosecutor's office there will have to use against the individual if they are ever found is what is gleaned from the investigation by law enforcement. It's very important. And I think that in the background, they are riding along, if you will, with this case and making sure that any evidence is preserved correctly for the use at trial if that day ever comes.
Yeah, definitely. And that is what they're working toward here. The police say that they're keeping things close to the vest because they don't want to compromise the investigation or a future prosecution. And they've said that very plainly, even though it's frustrating not only the families and members of the public. Imran, thanks so much for letting me hop on here. I'm going to turn it back over to you. Jennifer Koffendorfer, thank you as well for joining us for this hour. And thank you.
All right. Let's keep moving along. Next video is everybody's favorite person on News Nation, Banfield. And this one here is actually the interview with Xana's mom. And I want to go back over this because there might be some information in there that we hear now that might be, privy to what we're talking about and what we know now. Let's play this.
Xana Kernodle's mom Kara Denise Northington is on the phone with me now. Kara, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Can I just ask you off the bat how you are getting by in this terribly sorrowful time?
Not very easily, not good. I mean, I don't know what to say to that.
I can't even imagine the pain that you and your family are going through. Have the police been helpful to you, Kara, to understand some of the things they can and can't say?
Honestly, no. Honestly, no. They haven't said anything. I learn more on the news and on TV than they have said to me.
Have you had a chance to talk with some of the other parents of the other 3 kids who were there that night and share information amongst yourselves?
Not really, honestly. I've just been dealing with my family, and we've just been absorbing this shock.
Can you tell me, Kara, what you do know about this terrible night?
Well, what I do know is not nearly enough. We need more answers. There is so much more that can be done that has not been done. And I just know that there's GPS, NASA to find out who went into that home that night. I know that. Why hasn't that been looked into? Why hasn't that been accessed?
Kara, can I ask you there is a mysterious sort of 4-hour and 45-minute block of time that's unaccounted for by the police timeline. The police say that your daughter Xana and her boyfriend Ethan were at the Sigma Chi house from 8 until 9 p.m., but then they don't have any information on where they were from 9 p.m. till 1:45 a.m. Do you know anything about that from either your information from the police or Ethan's family or anybody?
I may be candid in saying this, but I think that they were at a bar.
And where do you get that information from? Did someone tell you that they'd gone from the Sigma Chi house to a bar before they ended up home?
That's what their father conveyed to me, that he thought that they were at the bar at that night. So, yeah, I mean, that's what college kids do on the weekends. So.
But you don't know for sure that they left the Sigma Chi house, went to a bar? Okay.
I don't know for sure, absolutely not.
And have the police asked you any questions about where Xana might have been, or if she texted you, or if she had, if she'd communicated with any family members in that period of time?
No, no answers whatsoever. Really. I asked the investigators when they come and spoke to me. They were not able to offer me any answers. None.
Can I ask you, Xana's sister Jasmine has put such a beautiful tribute to Xana on her Instagram. And I wonder if she has any additional information, just perhaps from being able to access her sister's social media or her phone. Has Jasmine been able to ascertain any other details of what happened that night, or where Xana and Ethan were that night?
No, I'm not going to speak for Jasmine. You would have to ask her that yourself. And she says she's going through it right now without her sister. And I'm sure if she had any answers or any information, she's already conveyed that to the investigators.
May I ask you if you can confirm that Xana's room was on the 2nd floor of the house?
Yes, I can confirm that. And
and was it on? Sorry?
I just had a question about the other 2 roommates who were there on the 1st floor. And I just wonder, wasn't something heard, or, the surviving roommates that were there, they had to have heard something. They had to the dog something.
I can help you with that somewhat. There is information from a prior tenant who lived on the first floor, who said when he lived there in 2019, he moved out. He said he could never hear anything on the second or third floor. If the television was playing very loudly on the second floor, he might hear it from
Bullshit.
the first floor. And I don't know if that helps you to understand.
The dog heard it, and the
Bullshit.
dog had to have been barking.
Exactly.
You know,
I have information there as well. That I've got information there as well. Our Brian Enton spoke with the parents of Kaylee Gonzalez, and they have actually referred to that. And Brian's going to play that interview in a moment. But Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen on that first floor may not have been able to hear anything, according to the prior tenant who said,
I don't fucking believe that at all. That's bullshit. Sorry, I got a little vulgar there. Bullshit. You could hear everything going on in that fucking house. If a camera outside on the next door neighbor's house has audio of what went on in that house that night, bullshit that you didn't hear anything. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on that now.
it was extremely difficult to hear because of the construction of that house. But I do want to ask you, if I can, Kara, was your daughter Xana's room on the right side of the house if you're looking from the parking lot, or on the
She
left?
was right down the hallway from, she was steps away from Xana's room. She was, I can pull the map up and show everybody. It's literally 10 feet, 5 feet around the corner where DM was in Xana's bedroom, where their bedrooms were. That is, this is exactly the point. The screaming and the yelling was horrifying in that house. If you're picking up thuds, if you're picking up dog barking, if you're hearing, okay, explain this. How the fuck did DM hear someone say, I think there's someone here and I'm here to help you? If that's going on in other rooms, and she said that no one could fucking hear anything, that's bullshit. It's bullshit. If she didn't hear that, and which I think the statement was never, I'm here to help you, I think it's, I'm here to kill you.
Left side across from the kitchen.
I can't answer that. I can't
But
answer
you do
that
know she was on the...
I never went there yet, so I don't know.
It is heartbreaking.
But you know she was on the second floor. Do you know if she looked out the front of the house or the back of the house?
I don't know if you were here the other night before. We had the, there was an interview, and I hadn't even watched it all the way through before. It was with Steve Gonzalez and some of the things that he got into that. I mean, there wasn't a dry eye in the chat room. We were all crying. It was very emotional.
I believe in the front, but I can't confirm. Like I said, I haven't been down to visit it yet. So I tried to go last month, but she was in class while I was down there. So.
Okay, our viewers are looking at the front of the house right now, and the window that I'm referring to is on the second story in the front of the house. And that's where we are, triangulating that perhaps that's where Xana and Ethan were that night. I do want to ask you if you know whether or not Xana had a lock on her bedroom door.
I believe she did, yes.
Do you know if it was a lock that was a code that you would punch in on the bedroom door? The prior tenant who used to live there said that every one of the doors in that home, all 6 bedrooms, were rented separately like apartments, and they all had coded locks. But lots of social media pictures have shown at least one of the locks on the door across from the kitchen on the second floor. It didn't appear to have a coded lock. But do you think that Xana's room had a coded lock?
I believe it did. Her father mentioned to me that he had just went and replaced the lock the weekend before.
You said her father mentioned to you that they had replaced the lock?
Yes, that he had, or he had fixed it or something. But yeah, he said that he had fixed it the week before, just to make sure
the week before.
Yeah, yeah.
So then that's the lock on her own bedroom door, not the lock to the outside of the house. That's her own bedroom door's lock.
In the main lock he was referring to. I'm not sure. Just remember him telling me that when we were speaking. So.
But you're talking about Jeff, right? Jeff Kernodle, Xana's dad.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And he had been there just a couple weeks before working on a lock, but you're not sure what door.
Just the weekend before, and he went to meet Ethan's parents, and went to check on Xana, and it was Dad Week at WSU for Jasmine, so he was over there, and they're pretty close schools. Pullman and Moscow are fairly short distance away from each other.
Did Xana's car have Arizona plates?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
And she used to live in Arizona, though, right?
I believe she got the car in Arizona, so that's highly likely, yes.
Do you know what kind of car she was driving?
I don't.
A white Hyundai Elantra.
And you mentioned about the roommates, the surviving roommates. Have you had any
That's what she wanted her to
opportunity
say.
to contact them? Do you or Jeff or Xana?
You know what kind of car she was driving? Yeah, it was a white Hyundai Elantra.
Sister Jasmine,
she
do
wanted
you
her
have
to
their
say.
contact information? Are you able to call them to talk to them?
Jasmine and Jeff are in contact with them, yes. They were all at the memorial today, and yeah.
And what did those girls, Bethany and Dylan, say to Xana's dad and her sister about that morning when they woke up and came upstairs? What did they tell Jeff and Jasmine?
I don't know. You would have to ask them that. I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I'm sorry.
Do you know, Kara, if Dylan and Bethany came upstairs and were trying to wake Xana? Because they were trying to wake one of their roommates. Do you know if it was?
Let's acknowledge this. Dr. Bob has gifted a membership to Party of 5. Thank you so much, Dr. Bob. We appreciate you. Tony. Let's give us Steven. All right, let's keep playing.
It's your daughter they were trying to wake?
I don't have that answer either. I'm sorry.
It's okay. And did they say that they could not?
If there's any new members tonight or any members, paying members that are has not joined the Discord chat, you can go to the community page. I just uploaded, and only members will see that post. You can connect in the Discord app. What I ask of anybody that's in Discord already, just please change your name inside the chat to your YouTube chat name, just so I have an idea of who is in the chat. Appreciate you. Let's keep playing through.
Get beyond a locked door, and that's why they had no
pretty
idea
brutal.
what was on the other side of the bedroom door and called in an unconscious person?
I believe that's right.
What do you know about that?
That they called in an unconscious person. I know that. But beyond that, I don't know.
So it's hard for you to understand as well why, if there was such a terrible crime that had been committed, the roommates might not have seen the evidence of that crime.
Absolutely.
Oh, excuse me.
Have they told you at all, Kara, when you can retrieve your daughter's things from that house?
Not yet, no.
I want to ask you, if you can, for us, Kara, about Xana. What would you like people to know about your daughter? We've seen pictures and we've seen social media, but you know her heart. What would you like everyone to know about her?
Xana, if you knew Xana, you knew what a light she was to everybody she came across. She was just such a positive influence on everybody around her. I honestly, and I'm not saying this because I'm her mother and biased, it's just the truth. There's nothing negative you could say about her. She was just such a good soul. And she cared. She deeply cared about her friends and her family. And she would never hurt anybody. I don't understand who would want to do anything to any of these kids. They were all great, great kids. And they were all good, good friends, lifelong friends, even, you know, aside from Ethan. And Ethan was such a great kid, too. No parent should ever go through this. These kids were good kids. I don't understand.
Have you had a chance?
Who would want to do this.
Have you had a chance to speak with Ethan's parents?
No, not yet.
Are you going to have a chance to speak with them?
I'm sure I will.
I'm gonna stop this interview. I just feel like it's kind of going in circles, and Banfield's just trying to really play for, pull for stuff here. So it's just cycling, and I don't really want to hear this poor lady screaming out any longer. It's just kind of getting to me. So we're gonna move on from this. I'm sure that we've heard this before, and the bottom line is this: no matter her past, no matter her troubled past, we still have to boil down that she lost her daughter, and that's pretty heartbreaking. Hopefully she can get the help that she needs, for her addictions and her demons. But we'll move on, because I don't want to, that's mainstream media is just very good at exploiting in times like this to try to get clicks and views. And it's not just Banfield, everybody fucking does it in the media. So next one I'm going to play is that body cam video of the field that night. We'll play that up. It's about a 2-minute video.
I all want to stand.
Hang on one second.
Why don't you guys all have a drink tonight? A couple beers. Yeah. Hard liquor or anything like that? No.
Now, this is the video that we can see up here at 2:59 a.m. I think it's actually when it starts to walk towards that silver car. I believe that's King Road right in the actual background, and you can actually see the house from what I remember about this video.
No. Hey, is that beer?
I believe that's King Road right there, just beyond those cars, right? If I'm right. That's King Road right there, I believe, in front of those houses.
Beer? Is that beer in your hand?
Yeah, I'm 21.
You got the ID on you?
I don't.
Okay, perfect. I'm just going to check if everything's good. Since they're not open, I'll let you hang on to them.
Okay.
So,
will I get charged with anything?
No,
or?
no.
Okay. Appreciate it.
But it's just enough for me to stop, check, make sure you're 21, walking around here in public.
3 a.m. 5 a.m.
Alright.
Moscow 77, check one. What's that?
Am I going to take off? Or?
No, let me run this through dispatch and make sure you're actually 21 and give me a fake birthday or anything. Well, yeah.
Oh, buddy. It's funny.
Yeah, I think that's the first one I've seen.
Yeah.
One.
I believe so, Mandy.
So if that comes back good.
That silver
yeah,
car.
You're free to go. Are these your boys?
About.
No, I don't know them.
Okay. Yeah. You guys taking off on me?
I didn't hear you. Yeah, we thought you were talking.
You all three turned around and I pointed my flashlight and you said, hey, come here. You guys all turned around and walked away.
I thought it was just like a fake person, honestly. Yeah. Like
how many fake people are out here that you've experienced?
AM.
How's your night going?
Pretty good.
That's good.
Just trying to stay warm.
Is that y'all's car right there?
Yes, they downgraded us from patrol cars.
Gotcha.
They gave us hybrids to save on fuel.
No, this is just a 2-minute video.
That lets me know that
I
actually
just wanted
exists.
to run by at 2:57 a.m.
Why don't you guys all have a drink tonight? A couple beers. Yeah. Hard liquor or anything like that? No. Come on, guys.
59. So that's King Road, I believe, just on the other side of those trees, if I remember. And I think this was the car that was talked about, right? This one here.
All right, if you guys all want to stand somewhere in this area.
All right, that's, I think, yeah, we're past that there. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, moving on to the next snippet of news and videos. All right, this is the white Hyundai Elantra. They're searching for the white Hyundai Elantra. Let's play
In the
through.
investigation, we're still gathering information. We're still gathering tips. We're still gathering evidence. We're still doing everything we need to do.
Yeah,
It's the latest in the University of Idaho murder investigation, as police are asking for the
It's
public's
eerie because it's like 3 a.m., you know, at that timeline. It's so eerie.
help in identifying an important car near the crime scene. Sidebar co-host Anjanette Levy's on the ground in Moscow, Idaho with the new details. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Do you all want me to keep going? Give me a 1 in the chat if you want me to keep going, or a 2 if you want me to call this one and we can keep we can do it another time. Let me know. 1 if you want me to keep going, 2 if you want me to call it a night. I'm free for whatever. I still have a lot of videos queued up. We can go like another hour if you want, if you guys are going to hang around. Getting a lot of 1s. Okay, I guess we're not going to stop. All right, we'll keep going. I see a lot of new names in the chat. All right, let's keep playing through. No 2s. Wow, that's good. All right, let's keep going.
You were one of the best people I've ever met, and I know I won't meet another one like you. So for the time we did have, I feel so lucky that I can tell people about my best friend, Maddie. And she's going to be a busy girl up in heaven because she is now the guardian angel to some wild ones who really need her down here.
We continue to follow the University of Idaho quadruple murder case. I'm talking about the killings of 21-year-old Kaylee Gonsalves, 21-year-old Madison Mogan, 20-year-old Zana Kernodle, and 20-year-old Ethan Chapin. Their bodies found in their off-campus home out in the college town of Moscow. These killings happened 3 weeks ago, and at the time of this recording, no arrests have been made, no suspect identified, and no murder weapon recovered. And joining me to talk about the latest in this investigation is my sidebar co-host, Anjanette Levy, who is on the ground in Moscow, Idaho. Anjanette, it's good to see you. I know it's freezing over there. Before we get into this idea of the car, a very important aspect of this car the police mentioned, can you tell us where you are right now, what the scene is?
You know, Jesse, good to be with you. We are about a block away from the house on King Road where these homicides occurred a little more than 3 weeks ago. And where I'm standing right now is in front of the Sigma Chi house. The Sigma Chi house is important in this investigation because
ProPlan is always advancing with game-changing formulas that promote mental sharpness and help extend lives. See what nutrition can do. Purina Pro Plan, always advancing.
The Hyundai Tucson comes with America's best warranty. It's like a mental vacation no other brand offers. Take a mental vacation or a vacation in the Hyundai Tucson with America's best warranty.
Ethan Chapin, one of the victims, and his girlfriend, Zana Kernodle, were at a party here at the Sigma Chi house around 9 p.m. on November 12th. That was that Saturday night, hours before these homicides occurred. They then made their way, it's our understanding, made their way from the Sigma Chi house over to the house on King Road, arrived there around 1:45 a.m. There had been some questions. Police had put out a call for information earlier this week about where Ethan and Zana were.
Was there a Hyundai commercial? Did I miss the Hyundai commercial?
1:45 a.m.
Is that what everybody's laughing
the whole
about?
time at the Sigma Chi
Tell me there was
house?
a
I
Bryan
asked
new
that
commercial.
question of the PIO yesterday. I didn't get an answer. He said they had received more information about their
missed it.
whereabouts, but he wouldn't tell me where they were. There's since been some other reporting that they've determined that Ethan and Zana were here at the Sigma Chi house all night. We're trying to confirm that, and then made their way over about a block away to the home where they ended up being murdered. Ethan, of course, was a member of the fraternity here.
I'm telling you, they are listening to us. How the hell did they know we were talking about cats in the Discord? And then the Hyundai. This is crazy. They're listening to everything, man. We're all inside of freaking
And
in the
Xana
Matrix.
was somebody who was known to the people in the fraternity as well.
And by the way, I encourage everybody to follow Anjanette on Twitter for live updates about what's happening. The reason I say that is because I was following you, Anjanette.
I was tinkling.
And you spoke to the Sigma Chi president, right?
I did. We met him actually on Tuesday, Reed Offsoon, and he was leaving for class. And we were standing outside trying to talk to members of the fraternity, and we were told they had put out a statement.
Yes, Big Brother does always
was
listen.
Very nice. Said they didn't want to really say anything. That they had told the FBI, Idaho State Police, and Moscow Police everything they knew. They had given them all the information they had, and that they were cooperating with the investigation. And so he didn't say much more than that, other than he was friends with Ethan and Xana, considered them friends. Ethan, of course, a member here, lived at the Sigma Chi house. And then happened to run into him again yesterday when that information about the car came out from Idaho State Police and Moscow Police.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about. So this is I would say probably the biggest update we've had so far, given this week maybe, and maybe in the last week and a half. The police are looking for a car, right? What are
Crazy if there was like K-Bar knife ads
Wednesday.
popped up.
They put out an update after they
would be
cleared
nuts.
the belongings of the 3 victims out of their home. The police put out an update on Facebook, and really this is the most specific call for information that we've really received, other than them asking for information about Ethan and Xana's whereabouts on Saturday, November 12th. They released some stock photos of a Hyundai Elantra between the years, they believe, of 2011 and 2013. They don't have a license plate number for the vehicle, but they are asking people to, if they have that vehicle, if they own that vehicle, if they know somebody with that vehicle, to call in, because the police say that this vehicle was in the immediate area of the King Road home the morning of the homicides. This happened in the overnight hours on Sunday, November 13th. And they believe that the person or persons, they said occupant or occupants of the vehicle, could have information critical to the case. So it kind of, gets your mind going, your imagination going. You're like, oh, is this involved? Is this vehicle involved? Did somebody get out of this vehicle and walk to the home? We don't know. Or were they just in the area and may have seen somebody? The police haven't told us why exactly they are interested in this vehicle, other than they believe the people in the vehicle may have information critical to the case. So critical sounds very important. So we would like to get more information about that and see where that goes. But you would think that they could somehow search DMV records for both Idaho and Washington, see if any of those vehicles are around. We are rather close to the Washington state line here.
But doesn't it seem like they're saying the people in that car were witnesses to what happened and not suspects?
So this is very interesting. And around this time, and I'm really going to throw a loop in the loop in the pool here. They started saying people in the car, the people in the car. And multiple news outlets were saying people in the car. He just said it. People in the car.
If any of those vehicles are around, we are rather close to the Washington state line here.
But doesn't it seem like they're saying the people in that car were witnesses to what happened and not suspects?
And really, when I heard that, I thought there were multiple people in the car they were looking for, because it made sense to me. Like, yeah, there had to have been more people that were involved in this. And it's funny how that narrative kind of changed. So I'm just throwing something out there. Food for thought for everybody. Now you guys can all chat it up. Yes.
Right.
We believe they have
just to clarify,
information.
because if they were suspects, if the police believe that who was in that car might have been
See?
connected to the killings, I don't know if they would have released this statement, right? It seems to me that whoever was in that car might have witnessed someone coming in and out of the house.
he did.
It's pure speculation. Is that what you're getting at now? Is that what you think, Anjanette, based on the commentary?
I
That's
did too.
certainly
I
a
thought
potential,
when I
Jesse.
started hearing about the white Hyundai Elantra, I started saying, I was like, I think they're saying multiple people. They want to talk to the people.
But also, I would think that if they think the vehicle is involved, they're certainly not going to want to spook those people, right? It's
See,
kind of
spook
like
those people.
I feel like there's a lot that goes into verbiage that's used, into the words that are used. You know, it brings to mind to me, we always hear the word suspect. When do they ever use that word anymore? We hear person of interest. To me, that always means like junior suspect. You know, it's like a euphemism for suspect.
And they're actually talking about it right now. They're clarifying a lot of things about people and suspects and person of interest, and they are saying people.
I don't know. It could be that they believe these people witnessed something or
These
saw
people.
something. Maybe this car, we don't know. I've looked all over for surveillance cameras. I don't see any. It doesn't sound like a lot of people around here have security cameras, but was this vehicle seen on security footage? We don't know. But there couldn't have been that much traffic, you know, vehicular traffic at that hour of the morning. I've been talking to neighbors who told me there's a lot of foot traffic because on the weekends, especially, people are partying out here in this neighborhood, you know, and yelling and screaming is not unusual because there are people partying all weekend and even on the weeknights. So we just don't know. We're waiting to figure it all out.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes us so curious. Why is it coming out now? We know that authorities, they've received over 2,600 email tips, over 2,700 phone tips, over 1,000 digital media submissions. We're not sure what led them to this car, but maybe we'll get some answers to the car because it sounds like they're saying very, very
Not really
you know.
that great
Actually,
either.
I know it's cold. I don't want to keep you out there too much longer, but I do want to ask you about you had a conversation with somebody that's part of the police department, Aaron Snell, correct? Can you tell us who he is and what your conversation was with him?
Aaron Snell is the communications director for the Idaho State Police, and the Idaho State Police and the FBI are assisting Moscow Police with this investigation. So Aaron Snell has been one of the people who's been designated as a public information officer on this case to talk to the media. And he basically told me, you know, there's a lot they know. They're getting a picture of what happened in leading up to this event and what happened before and during and after. And he said that's coming together with forensics, but obviously, you know, he is not going to divulge anything that's going to jeopardize the investigation. And he told me that very specifically. And, you know, Jesse, there's been so.
What made you think this, Lucy? She says, I'm convinced E and X are the main targets, and it all accelerated from there. Just my theory. Can you just give us a little bit more? We'd be curious to why you think, why you support that theory. We would love to hear more. It'd be really interesting. Yeah, I say at 9 a.m. he's dropping off DM. Yeah, I mean we've thought that too. But Lucy, if you could give us some supporting answers to why you think that, we would love to know why, because you're really the first person in the chat that's kind of said that. So let's hear that.
So much made about whether or not this was a targeted incident. You know, first they said it was targeted, then it was kind of walked back, and then it was targeted again. And we don't know if it was the house that was targeted or the students. And I really asked him.
See, to me, Pamela says, many people think it has something to do with Ethan and his fraternity. To me, it doesn't make any sense because the way that the victims were killed, it spewed crime of passion. So I don't know, maybe Bryan Kohberger was passionate about Ethan. I don't know. That could be it. So Lucy says, stemming from the incident at the frat house, and then I'm going off radar for several hours prior to the crime. So you're saying that people in the frat house are involved, or was it just Bryan Kohberger? All about the alleged frat house party the night of the murder. If that was the case, then he really didn't need to go upstairs and get the two girls. Right. That makes a lot of sense too. I think it was a targeted attack for either Kaylee or Maddie. That's why he went to the third floor. I think he came down and he must have heard Ethan or Xana in their bedroom. Boom, they became collateral damage because he didn't want any witnesses. And as he left, let's just say DM was in her room. He walks past DM and doesn't see her, because if he would have saw her, just like someone in the chat, I think it was AZ earlier, said she'd be a goner too. I just don't think that it would be
to clarify that yesterday. Who do you believe was targeted? And he said they still don't know. Now, that's what he's saying.
It's
he said
fair.
they don't
It's
know
fair
if
to
it
say.
was one person targeted in the house, more than one, or if it was the house itself. And I said in response, like, well, what do you mean? Burglary gone wrong? And he's like, and he said, but they're getting these test results in from the crime lab. They're going through video and all of these
That's a
different things. I'm
respectable
sure they're
point,
going through
guarantee.
the victims' cell phones and social media accounts. And there are people all over this town who've been interviewed by Moscow police and the FBI and Idaho State Police. So I thought it was interesting that they still don't know or still won't say whether they think it was the people targeted or the house. And there were other things I asked him about too. When are we going to get to see this hear this 911 call? I mean, usually you
Never.
hear a 911 call pretty early on. And he said, he didn't think it would be released immediately, but he thought
I still think there's a lot of telling information on that 911 call. I think you're going to hear names. I think you're going to hear people that have been implicated. We're salivating for that 911 call.
it might come sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people that have questions about that 911 phone call, who was on it, what exactly was said, because it's curious about the discovery of seeing these bodies. Before I let you go, Engine, I do want to ask you also about, didn't Snell say something about, or maybe he wouldn't confirm, how the killer or killers entered the house, about whether there was a sliding glass
Killer
door on the
or
second
killers?
floor? Can you tell us anything, if you gave any idea about that?
I asked him about that. Is it the sliding glass door on the second floor at the rear of the home? And he said,
Killers
they
or
aren't
killers?
willing to say
Killer
how they
or
believe
killers?
the killer entered the home. So he wouldn't comment on that. So he didn't say he didn't know, but you would think they would have a pretty good idea of how this person would have left the house. There had to be something left behind. If you've killed 4 people with a knife and you have this knife with you, you would think there would be something. A trail of some sort that this person left behind, or even shoe impressions. We just don't know, and he won't tell us.
And Jeanette Levy, great reporting as always. Thank you so much. Stay safe in Moscow, and we'll definitely.
All right. We will move on. Let's keep moving on. Let's keep moving on. All right, here we go. This is interesting too, because I think in this one, this gentleman says killers or suspects.
We were watching some of the video earlier today of investigators at the scene of that house on campus where those 4 University of Idaho students were found stabbed to death now almost a month ago. Okay, this was the scene. Many investigators there with that U-Haul truck were taking some of the personal items of the victims.
Not confirmed, chosen.
That belonged to the victims, and they were returning them to their respective family members. And we want to get an update on this story right now, too, because police have just announced that they are looking for something that might assist them in their investigation. We're going to be joined right now by Live Now's own Andy Mack in our newsroom. Okay, Andy, fill us in. What are police looking for, and why did they make this announcement now?
Well, any news in this Moscow case with the 4 slain students, there is big news, and we're getting news that they are looking for a potential car and the occupants in it as they...
Occupants
in it, car and the occupants in it. And we're getting news that they are looking for a potential car and the occupants in it. News that they are looking for a potential car and the occupants in it as they are looking for. We had an update from the Facebook page. As you can see, they're hoping to speak with the occupants of a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate. Tips and leads have led investigators to look into additional information about a vehicle being in that immediate area of the King Street residence during the early morning hours
King
of
Street, King
November
Road.
the 13th. Of course, the Hyundai Elantra, you can see there just a stock picture, as investigators believe the occupants of this vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case. And as you know, what police have told us is that these 4 victims were stabbed between 3 and 4 in the morning. The 4 students, they returned just early morning hours of this November 13th. in this residence in Moscow, and it was between 3 and 4 that they believe they were stabbed. So certainly looking for the occupants of those potential car, that white Hyundai Elantra. Of course, Lee saw this earlier today, so we followed both of these.
A lot of
cases here
evidence
today,
coming out.
as they were over 2 hours packing up the belongings of the 4 murdered Idaho college students, including 1 victim's pink cowboy boots. Moscow Police Chief James Fry and at least 6 other officers were in this residence early this morning. Officers could be loading that U-Haul with plastic bins, boxes, and a white office chair, and also.
So what are they doing? They're fucking moving this stuff out with like blood everywhere and shit. Like, what the fuck?
Artwork. Fry told reporters at the scene that they had removed, quote, some of the things the family wanted and other belongings that were
Relocation
there,
services, North American Relocation Services. What's that? Let's look up that business. What's this? North American Relocation Services. Move Anywhere. Affordable moving company. It's like U-Haul, maybe? U-Haul stuff? It's a moving company, yeah. Okay. Movers.
Certainly a couple new developments we're getting here out of Moscow, looking into that Hyundai Elantra, that white Hyundai Elantra. So if you have information, if you were in the car,
Just
or if
boxes.
you have information about who might have been in a
This
car
guy talks like this.
early morning hours of November 14th, Moscow police asking for
Moscow.
your assistance, as it's been nearly 3 weeks and we have no suspect or suspects or even motive in this very tragic case. Andrew?
Yeah, you know, Andy, so the information they posted, they offered both an email and a
Yeah, I figured it was a move. I just wanted to see what it was.
208-883-7180 if you have any information. And, you know, the viewers have been following along to this story ever since it happened here on Live Now. We've been speaking to our reporters there in Moscow. There have been such few details, scant information released by police. We've been hearing, though, from the family members of some of the victims, from some of the parents. We've been showing, you know, the vigils that have been taking place, as this community is just still in shock because there is such, you know, little information at this point in time. And I know we kind of glean on to little tidbits here. I think this is quite large, quite major. They're looking for this vehicle. We don't know why. But as far as this investigation and this story goes, this is as big of a development as we have got.
Correct. And they usually post on this Facebook about some information. We've only seen a couple press conferences, but like you said, this is one of the bigger tidbits of information. And again, it relates to the car, the white Hyundai Elantra, but also the time frame in which this car might be in that area, as police believe the stabbings occurred between 3 and 4 in the morning. So they're looking for this car that may or may not have seen possibly a suspect. So they're hoping to get a break in this case with what the occupants of this car may
He
have.
keeps stressing the thing about occupants. And I think he said suspects too. Let's go back.
May or may not have seen possibly a suspect. So they're hoping to
A
get a break in this
suspect.
case with what the occupants of this car may have seen on those early morning hours back on November 13th.
Yeah, it's interesting because we know that they towed away all the cars that were in the parking lot of the house itself. So police are not saying, you know, where in the vicinity of the house on the street they think this car might have been, but they want it nonetheless. Andy Mack there in the newsroom here on Live Now.
All right, let's keep going. You asked for it. We're going to keep going. What's the next one here? Everything we nearly know a month later. Let's do, what do I got? Yeah, let's do this one. So I got the body cam videos of when Kohberger was pulled over. We'll pull those up so we know that they were queuing in on him. And I still think, as much as the FBI said they didn't order those pullovers, they fucking so did. They're just not talking about it. Why would they pull that dude over back to back? Doesn't make any sense.
Hello. How you doing? How y'all doing today? Good, good. Take a look at your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on that van, man. He was right up on the back end of that van. Pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Where are you headed?
See how quick he was to jump in when his father was getting ready to talk? He's very quick. Just getting Thai food up here.
Okay, cool.
He is fucking scared, dude.
Is this your car? Okay.
Look how scared he is.
Is this your car?
Look at the eyes.
Okay, cool.
He got some nervous Nelly body language going on right now.
Well, we're coming from WSU. And,
Like, shut the fuck up, Dad.
What's WSU?
Hang on one second. Is there caps here? Oh, let's bring this up.
What's WSU?
Oh, I want to hear the caps here. Hang on, I'm gonna go back. Let me see if they cap Kohberger and his father talking. Hang on.
See, he's right up on that van, man. He was right up on the back end of that van. Pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay, cool. Where are you headed?
It's not.
We're coming from WSU. And,
It's funny. His father says, "Oh, we're coming from WSU," and he goes, "Yeah, WSU." Like, shut the fuck up, Dad. Like, you're not supposed to be talking about that. You're not supposed to be saying that. And now he's being very acute and listening to what his father's saying. You can see by his body language. I'm going to back that up. Watch his forehead. It crunches down. And he's like, you know, when you're trying to really listen to someone and really stay focused and attention. See, look.
What's WSU?
And see how he's now talked over his father and jumped in and grabbed control of the conversation. Let's go back. Watch when he jumps over his father and takes control of the situation. Right there.
So we're okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University, and you're going where? Oh,
And Kohberger just says, and when he goes, "Where you're going where?" and he says, "We're going to get some Thai food," and then his father goes on to talk about, "We're going to Pennsylvania." This is sketchy as fuck.
a hard time hearing you.
Right here. You're going to hear it again. He's going to go, "Where are you coming from?" He says, "We're coming from WSU." And he said, "Where are you going?" And then Kohberger jumps in and says, "We're going to get Thai food." And then his father starts jumping in, talking about, "We're going to Pennsylvania." And you can see the look on his face.
So you're coming from Washington State University, and you're going where? Oh, we're going to be going to Pennsylvania. Oh, okay. Yep. We're
See, he kind of does this like, what the fuck he's saying?
Oh, okay.
He's got that kind of like, shut up.
Yep. We're slightly punchy because we're driving for hours. Hours, days. We're driving. Well, almost a day. Okay. And what did you say about some SWAT team thing? Or yeah, there was a mass shooting and everything. Where? Interesting. Well, it's horrifying because he's supposed to be university. Mm-hmm. So y'all work at the university there?
How many of y'all looking in that car going, "Where's the DNA? Could it be on the steering wheel? Could it be on that radio? Could it be on the shifter? Where is it?"
I actually do work there. Oh.
Because that's what every time I look at this video, I look and I'm looking Is it on that vent? Is it on the steering wheel? Where is it?
Okay.
Is it right there where that drink was? You can see Kohberger's ID right there. To the right, if you look real quick.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that incident just yesterday, or? This happened yesterday. About an hour and a half ago. We're still wrapping it up for investigation. I'm not sure there's two shooters because they did shoot somebody. Let's see. And then you don't know about that actually. Interesting. Wow. Okay. So do me a favor, don't follow too close, okay? All right. Thank you. Appreciate you.
That's it. All right. Let's move on to the next video. Was Bryan Kohberger arrested with latex gloves on? Let's find out.
Of the 4 University of Idaho students. Bryan Kohberger, of course, is awaiting a preliminary hearing. That has been set for June in the state of Idaho. We're learning more now about his arrest in Pennsylvania. He was taken into custody at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. And yesterday, the Monroe County Assistant District Attorney, Michael Mancuso, shared more about what Kohberger was allegedly doing in that time with BRC-TV 13. Take a listen.
Mr. Kohberger was found awake in the kitchen area, dressed in shorts and a shirt and wearing latex medical type gloves, and apparently was taking his personal trash and putting it into separate Ziploc baggies.
Another development. While prosecutors have not announced that they are going to pursue the death penalty in the quadruple murder case, a judge has granted the defense request for a death penalty qualified attorney to join his legal team. You can see where this obviously is going. Still with us in Columbia, South Carolina, former prosecutor and SLED agent Tommy Pope, and in New York, trial attorney Bruce Rosenberg. Innocent until proven guilty, but every day seems to be another bit of information that piles on to making it look like they might have the right guy here after all of this. Tommy, what's your take on this investigation, what it's yielded, and then this latest bit where they come barreling into the house in the wee hours and there's the guy with his gloves going through his trash into little baggies?
I've always been a prosecutor. I've never done defense work, but first thing I think the defense is looking for today is somebody to testify that that was the cleanest guy they ever knew and always took care of his trash. And but I'm not sure you're going to see that. I was thinking about the death penalty component too. You know, as this case builds, you know, for me making the death penalty decision, again, using Murnaugh as an example, because it was circumstantial, it wasn't the nature of the crime. It was the fact that, you know, you don't want to push a jury too far. But if they have good, tight evidence, if the DNA comes back that matches the buckle swab and the snap on the knife and all that, I think there's a decent chance you see the death penalty come to play if they feel like, you know, they're really, really solid on the guilt phase of having their man.
Yeah, and you know, there's so much we don't know yet in terms of what came back in those search warrants, Bruce. They took apart that vehicle, the white sedan, and if there is any DNA of those victims in that thing, we're talking case closed most likely. What is your take on the new information that we heard from this prosecutor in Pennsylvania, that he was up at 2, 3 in the morning and he's handling his garbage with latex gloves?
It's quite interesting, Ted. I mean, I think the timing there is quite interesting. I think I read somewhere that it was at 1:30 or 2 in the morning as opposed to later in the morning. Typically, it's my understanding that arrests take place early in the morning, but not that early in the morning. I think that, as Tom said, hey, fastidious. This guy, maybe he's the cleanest guy in the world. Maybe he had a reason that he didn't want his personal items to be mixed up with his parents' personal items. I can't say that it looks that good, but people, you know, have their own interesting complexities OCD, other complexes that make people act in the manner they do. This just could be part of his personality. Without more, it's hard to say. On the other hand, somebody wanting to hide or not provide DNA so that he can't be identified or connected to the evidence at the murder scene is also a possibility. So we're going to have to wait and see with bated breath what the DNA evidence turns out to be.
Yeah, and again, in that prelim, we should find out a lot in June. We learned so much from that probable cause affidavit that was released in terms of what investigators did to get to that point. And Tommy, with your experience as a SLED agent, reading that must have been something for you, because they really did have, out of the gate, they had the sheath with little DNA on it, but it didn't hit initially, that match. And so then it was this video canvassing, the DNA combined, and then the cell towers. What did you think overall? I mean, a lot of people were bagging this investigation as it was dragging on. Even some family members were raising their eyebrows. Now, at this point, what did you think as a former investigator about the way they handled this?
Again, we get numb from watching TV all the time, but I thought it was very impressive that they were able to track him down across the country. We had a case one time, the guy killed his parents, headed up the East Coast, and we were able to recover the murder weapons and everything from a dumpster halfway up the interstate because of quick action by law enforcement. So sometimes on the outside, we think they're dragging their feet, or, we're second guessing. And as you alluded to earlier, I think Bruce said, there's reasons we can't always know everything publicly, so law enforcement can piece it together. So it sounds to me like they got their man and they're working hard, and I'm sure they'll continue to do so.
Yeah, innocent until proven guilty. The judge also clarified the gag order in this case, ordering, yes, the attorneys from either side, as well as attorneys for any witness, cannot give any information to the media regarding Kohberger's pending trial. But in regards to witnesses, she said this: she is not ordering clients, i.e. witnesses, not to talk to the media, but stressed this case should be not tried in the media, but in the court of law. It is a ruling that the family of victim Kaylee Gonzalez appears to appreciate. They released this statement commenting on the gag order not applying to them, thanking the media for keeping the story alive. They said in part, we firmly believe it was the coverage by the media of the victims' families, numerous witnesses, and undeniable evidence that led to an arrest in this case. When you have a case of this magnitude, Bruce, everybody is on high alert, involved in it, including the judge, especially the prosecutors, because you don't want to fumble this thing and you don't want something odd to happen, especially given what we know. How does the fact that the entire world is fascinated beyond belief by these horrible crimes and how this could happen, how does that change the way people do their daily business in terms of progressing now to preliminary hearing and then trial?
Well, I think that the information outside can affect the jury. I think that media coverage, discussions, the internet, all provide instant information to people all around the world. And I think the interest in the case is because of the graphic nature and the horror of it. And I think the judge is correct in being concerned about what is said, to whom it's said, and when it's said, because you don't want to affect the jurors who are considering the evidence in the case. And the judge is absolutely correct in saying the case really needs to be tried in a court of law and not in a.
I just want to address this really quick. Pamela says Gonzalez family gave credit to the media, but police didn't deserve credit. No, they did give them multiple things of credit in a lot of the interviews that they did after Bryan initially was arrested, being the suspect in this case. In the emotional interview that we watched, Steve said that he gave all the credit in the world to Moscow police and the FBI for working on this case. Yeah. You got to think, his frustrated father, you have a potential killer that's running around out there that killed your daughter violently. There's no arrest. Tension is building up. Stress is building up. and you're aggravated because it's not moving as quick as you would like it to. So, I'm just speaking out. All right, let's keep finishing this one up.
Public opinion, because as Tom said, we don't know everything yet. We haven't seen all the evidence. We don't know what's going to come out yet. And the defendant is entitled to be presumed innocent until found guilty. So we have to wait and see. And so I respect the judge's ruling to want to keep communication and commentary to a minimum.
And again, we haven't heard from the state if they're going to pursue the death penalty yet. They have lots of time to make that decision public, but the news this morning is that the defense has retained and added to their team a death qualified attorney. It likely, if you have a death penalty in a state, this one, if families are on board, I would think is a go.
All right, we got one more video before I head out for the evening. I want to thank everybody. We're almost at a 3-hour banger here. You guys have been consistently over 100 people watching this evening. Tons of chat going on. So my hat's off to all of you. I want to thank all of the people that super chatted tonight, all the new members that came in. If you want to be part of the Discord group, you can go over to the community tab. It's for a members post only. You can click on the link, get into our private chat, and you're able to hang out with us on after shows or days that I'm not streaming live. It is now, what day is it? It's Thursday. I possibly may do a stream on Saturday night for members only. So look out for that. I haven't made the decision if I'm going to do a public or a members only, but I believe that I'm going to do a stream on Saturday night. And then, of course, we'll have the Sunday night stream as well. So let's finish this one out. This one is going to be with Bryan Kohberger's first public defender. The first public defender that took this case. We'll play that out, and then I'm going to do my wrap up here. All right. I will be right back. I'm going to start this, and I'll be right back.
Give me your sense of the man and in the context of the situation.
The man is an intelligent man, Bryan. He was easy to talk to. He was aware of the situation. Really, it was a great conversation that we had given the circumstances of everything involved.
You say that he told you he was shocked that he was arrested. How so and why?
I believe he was shocked by the moment that the police broke his door down, had guns in his face. He was unaware that that was going to happen, and he was really shocked by the arrest. He wasn't expecting it, obviously.
To be clear, you drafted a statement with and for your then client, the accused, in which he said, "I will be exonerated." Those were not your words.
Does anybody know why this public defender gave up on the case and left? Does anybody know? Type in the chat if you know.
But do you agree with his assessment?
I agree. That's what he had said to me, that he believed that he would be exonerated, which I believe implicitly that he was innocent of the crimes.
Now that is we're both lawyers. You're just a better one.
I don't know about that.
I do. Your zealous representation responsibility is to do everything you can to advance his cause under law. That's zealous representation. You do not have to say you believe he is innocent. You can say he's not guilty of the charges. They can't make the case. I think that they're speaking out of school. I don't think they have what they think. There's a whole range of qualified statements. But innocent
was the aliens.
Is something else. Innocent is that you believe he did not do this. Do I have it accurate?
Well, I don't want to put those words in my mouth. He said he was eager to be exonerated, which I believed him to mean that he believed he was innocent. I wasn't judging the case at that point in time. I didn't have the affidavit of probable cause. I knew none of the facts, and I didn't ask Bryan about any of the facts or circumstances surrounding the case either.
Okay, that is very important, and I apologize because I have been slapping you around for making such a heady assessment so early in the case. But now that we put out the statement and you're saying, no, this is what he told you, and that was your takeaway about how he felt about his own situation. Very different. I apologize for any other inference. I'm glad we cleared it up. Now, once you saw the affidavit, what do you think now?
I said from the beginning, I read it 4 times through before I think I got most of it soaked in. I felt that it was a strong circumstantial case that's likely to possibly get stronger based upon other evidence that I would expect. But there's certainly holes. Whether or not the prosecution can close those holes is another story for another day.
What is your biggest concern?
I think the biggest concern is obviously his DNA on the sheath of the knife that was found in the room next to the Mogan body.
We have to know what kind of DNA it is because there's a suggestion that goes like this, that it wasn't him, it was somebody he knew who he was with. Without violating, or this would only help his cause, do you have any reason to believe that it could have been somebody else, that he wasn't alone, that the man who was shot in the shootout at Washington State University, the security guard, is he relevant?
I don't have any knowledge of another person being involved. Again, I never asked Bryan any of the facts and circumstances surrounding the case. I made that clear from the moment I sat down with him that I was simply there to represent him for the extradition proceedings, and that his attorney in Idaho would really be taking the case over and would want to hear his story first.
Is it unusual, even with that admonition, that people don't tell you why they're innocent and why they didn't do this, and here's what's wrong with this situation, help me, help me?
It was certainly a unique situation for me. I've never had it like this quite before, where such serious charges an individual was facing. But I really wanted to make sure that he understood that I didn't want to know about the facts and circumstances. And I did cut him off several times before he was able to tell me anything about the case.
Is it knife? Is it really knife?
He was arrested, we are told. Has anyone else been arrested? Does that sound right to you?
That's my understanding of what's out there. When I spoke to Bryan about what he said to the police, and he did speak to police for approximately 5 to 15 minutes before invoking his Miranda rights, he couldn't recall what he had actually said to them.
Did his disposition, his demeanor to you, play as someone who was or was not connected to what happened?
I don't really want to judge that. I treat my clients with respect and build a rapport with them, even for the short period of time that I was speaking with Bryan. I wanted his trust for that short period of time, so he understood what I was trying to do for him. I thought was in his best interest. I still believe what I'm doing for him even now is in his best interest. So I really wanted to build that rapport, and I don't question things like that. Especially without seeing the affidavit of probable cause.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to News Nation.
God, I hate Chris Cuomo. But I appreciate the clip. I gotta take these headphones off. Jeez, you schmeezy. All right, folks. We just coming into a 3-hour banger. Another 3-hour banger. Wow. You guys are rock stars to hang out for 3 hours and listen to my crap. All right. The Cuomo bros. Yeah. Cuomos. I love how everybody during the pandemic was like, oh, what's his name? The other Cuomo, the guy, he's doing such a great job. He should be president. And that guy ended up putting more people back into nursing homes and killed more people in New York City by doing that. Unreal with the whole COVID crap. Okay, we are very close to 3 hours. We consistently had 100 people watching this evening, and we got to 3,400 subscribers. Yes. Awesome stuff. I appreciate all of yous. All right, I might do a sneaky stream on Saturday. Keep your eyes out. It will definitely be around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I haven't made my decision. I'm probably just going to keep it up to the general public, but what I'll do halfway through that stream is make it for members only chat. So if anybody wants to keep chatting on, they'll just have to join the member. If not, they can watch. So probably sneaky stream on Saturday. I'll let everybody know. If you're first timer over here on the channel, before everybody runs out, don't go anywhere yet. I communicate a lot on my community page through my Facebook page. And if you're part of my Discord server, to be part of the Discord server, you need to be a paid member. Memberships down below, you can hit the join button for $1.99. You can join monthly. That will get you into the Discord server. And when you go to the community page and click on that, you'll see the post for members only. Discord server will be in there. You just click on that. You can join us for the after show. What else? Do I have anything else, guys? Yes, I'll drop the link for the Facebook page. Hang on. Do I have anything else? I forget. Let me drop the link to the Facebook page. Facebook page is here. I'm also on Twitters. Yes, my Kurt Cobain shirt. If I could show the back, I would, but I'm in boxer shorts. I'm not going to stand up. I'm on Facebook. On the Twitters. I'll pull the Twitter up. This is the Twitters. The Twitter sphere. I don't really go on Twitter there. If you want to direct message me, I would suggest, if you're not a paid member of the Discord group, you can just direct message me through Facebook. That's usually how I communicate. Direct message, or yeah, OnlyFans. No OnlyFans yet. That would take me a lot of money to do that. I was gonna say, I just lost my train of thought. I'm getting old. My brain doesn't work. Oh, email theopinionatedidiot@gmail.com. I think that's going to be it. I think this is an awesome stream. We got to 3,400 subscribers tonight. We're grinding away. We're getting close to the 5 grand subs, and then hopefully by the end of the year, this channel is at 10,000 subs. I want to get there. I want to get to 5. 5 would be awesome. 5 would be a really nice community. Not that I don't have a really awesome one now, but 5,000 just feels to me like a good, nice, round, solid number. Like 5 grand, 5 grand. You guys are great. Please, if you haven't on the way out, hit that like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I will be back most likely on Saturday night for a sneaky stream on Saturday. Maybe we'll add another part 5 to this, and then we'll do a part 6 as a wrap-up show. I'll see what other things that I can dig into, and then maybe sneak something in this week from like members only. We'll do another members only stream, but and then we're going to go back to our regular schedule. Tuesday, Thursday nights. Tuesday nights, serial killer night. Thursday is a throwback Thursday. You guys are the best. Appreciate you all. It's time for everybody to get some sleep, and I'll give you guys some sound bites before I leave, because I know that you guys all love this stuff. So
Steven, liar. Come on, man.
How dare you?
You are fake news. Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing. Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
All right, y'all. I will see you. Dating Diaries with Bryan. Yeah, I should start a channel. All right. You guys are the best. Good night. Everybody be safe. Sneaky, sneaky stream on Saturday. Keep an eye out. It's probably going to be 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll put the tile up to remind everybody, and then I'll remind everybody on Facebook, my community page, Discord server, all that fun stuff. Guys, be safe. I'll see you soon. Smash that like button. Smash it, smash it, smash it, smash it, smash, 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 smash. You gotta find my outro. Gotta find my outro. Good night, y'all.